Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Hello and welcome as we go V8 supercar racing on a Thursday night from another American circuit. This time, there is a layout right around the outside, and that layout all the way around the outside, well, it's got this funny thing called an oval with only left-hand turns. Tonight we'll be using a fair chunk of that oval. We won't be using the entirety of the NASCAR turn 2. We will only be using NASCAR turns 3 and 4, but other than that, we are using a bulk of the oval. It is Homestead-Miami Speedway, and just 2 weeks ago, NASCAR Cup Series was here. And boy, did that make for an action-packed race. It made for something really, really interesting and special to watch. If you haven't gone and seen it, strongly recommend. In terms of things from the V8 veterans tonight, what kind of curry is about to be served up by Mez calls me the Curry Lord, so get rid of that Ranconius off the screen. But it is going to be a tight points battle reasonably at the top, factoring in the fact that drop rounds haven't come into effect as of yet. I think we've actually got a little bit closer of a championship battle on our hands, Mez, than what the points table is going to suggest.
Yep, absolutely. We'll have to do a bit of a dig into the points at a later date, because yeah, there's some interesting things that have sort of come out in the meantime that are going to affect the championship, and we'll go through. But yeah, it's looking like it's potentially a bit of a two-horse race when we get to the final round.
And we are going to zoom in all the way on Miami, right down in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. Beautiful section backs onto this lovely section of coastline over here. It's known for its lovely, lovely beaches down over here in Miami, and this is Homestead-Miami. Look at how close to the water we are. That is the oval around the outside. It's one of the 1.5 milers. She's a phenomenal track. It makes for phenomenal racing. All three grooves are in operation. From a V8 supercar perspective, there was a little bit of discussion over in turns 9 and 10, what is effectively turn 3 and 4 of the oval. Yes, Americans do name one big long corner as two separate corners when you go oval racing, so bear with us with that one. That is part of oval racing that I've got an education within, Mez, but it is a beautiful, beautiful track. It's a beautiful section of the world, this one.
Absolutely. I'm not the hugest of oval races, but there's two circuits that I generally enjoy racing at, and Chicagoland and here. This is just, no matter what you come here in, it's just a fantastic bit of track. And the one thing as well is we're racing on the infield tonight, the Road Course B. Again, one of the most underrated bits of track I think we have on iRacing. So would it be cool to see us do the Road A layout, which you can see where you got turn 9 and 10. There's a little section that runs through there. Creates a little bit of a tighter racing through there, but still, we're going to see supercars on the oval. So it's still going to be exciting to see how it goes tonight.
I was actually having a chat earlier, a couple of weeks ago, in terms of Stephen here, Mez is actually going to get the grid, so we'll need to tick through this at a fair clip here in a few moments, but there has been more talk of actually getting circuits that don't necessarily get raced a whole bunch. The reason they actually chose this layout was because they expected it to be big in terms of overtaking. The problem with the infield down at the Road Course A layout was that it restricted overtaking. Actually, we've got a little bit more time than I thought to tick on through the gridding, so we might actually go to the race info. And we'll talk about the strategy yet again. This is back to, I believe, one of our 250 or 300 kilometer races. So we have got a longer race here tonight. And what that means in terms of strategy, well, it's 260 kilometers that we'll have here tonight. 71 laps, your journey, 80 liters starting in the tank. That leaves a hole on lap number 1 as they grid up of 31 liters. You're expected to burn right on that 3 liters per lap mark. Oh, gee, that's really nice round numbers. We don't get that very often. And 133-ish liters is going to be your maximum added. Don't forget, as that lap time comes down in terms of overall pace, so does the fuel burn tend to fall off a little bit. Compulsory pit stop window at the end of lap number 2. You can come in under safety car conditions if we get through the end of the first lap. On lap number 2, you will be able to come down. Critical pit stop, lap 35. From 35, we can do 36 laps to the end of the race. This is what it looks like in terms of the bar graphs, Mez. 16 seconds is what you'll be able to add at the end of lap number 2 to fill the tank all the way back up to full. You come down on lap 24, which is about the even split marker, and that's what we've been looking at thus far, looking about 29 seconds to get that tank all the way back up to around that 75% mark. You're looking at, 70 70 litre mark. And the same again, about 65 litres again on lap 47. That's the expected strategy. The yellow strategies are going to offset that just a fraction. And that means you'll be coming in. The last, effectively, the deepest you'll probably be looking to go into the race is about lap 59, lap 60. You can go a fraction deeper, but not all the way, Mez. And as usual, 2 compulsory pit stops. We love talking about it because it's at least interesting.
Absolutely, and I think you're spot on the money. Looking at it, I think we'll go. They'll probably end up going with the even strategy. It seems to be the standard. You'll see people down the back of the field that might try and throw a few different spanners, but yeah, as we've sort of seen all season, much to my trying to be a fortune teller, everyone seems to stick with the even stints strategy. So it'd be interesting tonight, just on a side note on strategy, that we're sort of thinking about it, but because we are utilizing the banking on the oval. Now, one thing we do talk about a lot with tyres is heat and how it affects performance. That banking might actually play a factor as well. We might get more heat in those tyres than what we usually expect, which can affect performance. So maybe we might see a little bit of playing around with that strategy as well. But maybe it'll probably just end up being even stint in the end anyway.
Okay, so I'm getting this in. Apparently, I've been called out for the only member of the commentary box that didn't finish on a podium in a league race we were all participating in last night. Get out. Get it. And I'll have no more of this. The Mezman or the Yezomo, that is the relationship name, the shipping that we're giving to Daniel Yeaman and Simon Mezomo after they finished on the podium together in a TCR race last night. Yeah, they were all successful. Get out. I don't want to hear about it. I was frustrated. I wanted to throw my wheel through the window behind me at the end of the last night's race. Just frustrated. Wasn't having a great time. So you guys got all successful, got all lucky. Get out of here. Oh.
I'm happy. I'm happy with my podium.
Get out! I've had enough of you. Right, championship standings. Let's talk about them because they're on screen at the moment. We've just cracked the 1,000 points marker for Michael Taliancic. Ken Latter's sitting there, 51 points back on 999 points. Darren Lobb made a protest. Remember the race from Silverstone? Cost himself 50 championship points. He thought he'd redress far enough. Stewards said otherwise. Cost you 50 points to lodge a protest, and that held up our Silverstone results for a very, very long period of time. That may have actually cost him a shot at the championship. Who knows? We'll have to keep our eyes on it as we get to our drop round statistics. They will be calculated at the end of round 9. Round 10 is not a valid drop round. You must score points in round 10. Cannot use your drop round down there. Big movers and shakers. We'll have a look at it for Robbie Griffith, Michael Stewart, Christian Smart, and John Latham, all +7. In the meantime, Jeff Thomas and Tim Nicol -12, which is hard for Jeff Thomas. Given that he's actually away at the moment. So he wasn't actually racing last week, and I got the opportunity to talk to him a little bit earlier as well. Jeff Thomas won't be racing tonight. It's actually away again, but he is here spotting for his teammate Travis Hunt. So that's how it stands in terms of the championship statistics. And anyone you've got your eye on right there, that battle between Lob and Kirby, that's going to be spicy.
Yep, that's probably going to be Kirby's definitely sort of switched on into the season, but I'm still going to stick with my pick. Bruce Tannock is been chipping away at the results there, and I think, yeah, he's looking set to probably end up with a top 5, and I think he's not far off that battle for the top 3 either, so he's going to be my my dark horse for this season.
Righto, ladies and gentlemen, we are moving into our grid, and tonight's pole position, well, it's the 2 drivers on the front row, albeit in inverted championship standings. It's going to be a 1:13.656. It was good enough for pole position for Ken Latter. Less than a 100th of a second, less than a 10th of a second. Immediately behind him is going to be Michael Taliancic on the outside of row number 1. We'll drop 1 row further back, and Troy Stonestreet again has showed utter qualifying pace. Can he manage to try and hang on to it this week will be the difference. Matt van der Kraan also moved up a couple spots in championship standings this week. Moving back 1 further row to Darren Lobb and Chris Smart. Lobb will look to be on the ascendancy. We'll see if he can actually move his way further up the field, and Christian Smart finally finds that return to speed that we've been lacking from him for about a season and a half. Bruce Tannock is where Simon Mezomo's eyes have been in terms of points this week, off alongside of Tim Nicol, also managing to start inside the top 10. Michael Stewart, again, another big jump in terms of points last week. Another opportunity to grab a podium here for Michael Stewart this week. Can he put the tail on that one off alongside David Nash? Chad Lewis and Chris Barrage off of row number 6. Chad going to be trying to keep himself nice and clean here tonight. And 1 row further back is Craig Friend and John Latham. When talked about by his teammates, Craig Friend, they all said, nah, guy never had talent to begin begin with. Keep your eyes on the Chubby Buns entry for old mate and sons on there. Robbie Griffiths and Michael Quain. It was actually Michael Quain that said that about his teammate Craig Friend. They love to rough each other up at the old mate and sons garage. Moving again further back to 17th and 18th, it's going to be Travis Hunt and Damien Cross. Travis Hunt will have his crew chief Jeff Thomas on board this week. Moving back to 19th and 20th, it's going to be the two fishy teammates of Chris Miller and Dave Kirby.
And we'll flip through this as quick as we can. Time accounting. David Kirby in P20. P21 will be Jason Fewens alongside further back. Sorry, I'm losing track of myself already. Todd Duggan will be out of P22 with Chris Blanchard at P23. Dean Favell in 24th spot. 25th will be Simon Hedderscheid with Matty Parker in P26. We've got Darren Goosey in P27 with Robert Christell alongside in 28th. P29 will be Paul Burns. Alongside will be Brenton O'Brien in the ERT machine. We go back to 31st place, Greg Sharp. Alongside him will be Jamie McKnight. And then off the back of the group will be Scotty McCune, Scotty Van Loon, and Stephen Kennedy not putting in a lap time. So he'll probably be starting off the back of the grid. And that is our grid set. Darren Crosby will not be racing tonight. Now we wait for the lights to go green.
That's it, ladies and gents. We are just ticking over to the end of our gridding phase at the moment. So the revs are going to start to rise from the front end of things. It's going to be 260 kilometers here from Homestead-Miami Speedway. It's the road course layout. It's the unused layout. It's the unloved child of one of America's greatest ovals. And who's got the getaway? It's actually going to be Stone Street on the inside of the second row. Who got a phenomenal launch. Wasn't quite able to get far enough for Blum's side. Talianchis is going to get through, and Stewart is sideways in the grass. In the background, there's a huge incident down at turn 1 and 2. And that's already caused 6 cars to make an immediate breakaway at the front end of town. And in the meantime, it's going to be Sharon Lobb who's made his way back into third place, nicks that one back off of Troy Stone Street. And have a look at the gap that's formed in behind these guys. Vander Krum, Christian Smart. Smart's dropped a couple spots off of the start there. And then they're going to finally set themselves all down in, and there's already some conversation. Track limits breaches at turn 1 and 2.
Yeah, I was watching that as they ran in there. You can see a few people trying to use that inside, and you can see sideways out of turn 7 there. I think it was Jamie Knight with a bit of a slide there, but once again I was sort of thinking about trying to get the run off there. We can see moving into turn 8, the moves down the inside. Chris Blanchard off the inside, but he's made contact. And around goes Todd Duggan.
Oh, Todd
and
Duggan.
He's just altered forward that one. Flick back to Matty Parker at the moment. They head down the back straight. They hit the oval for the first time. And sorry, just hearing over the radio too, Todd Duggan, that was an accidental escape there as well. So not intentional. Unfortunate, but they've got the first lap done. You can see Talianchis has actually dropped back into third this time.
Yeah, and a big old wiggle as they got out of turn 2 and into turn 3 there as well. So Tally's going to be struggling for a little bit of rear tyre grip. And could tonight be the night that we return to a safety car procedure? Have we had a safety car since Bathurst? I don't think we have. First race of the season? I don't think we've had a safety car in about 6 weeks. So, ladies and gents, if you're going to have one, they come out in their grandeur for an oval race. Could tonight be the night where we finally see one yet again? There's been a little bit of closing up as Chris Smart and Tim Nicol have bunched back up onto the top 6 and prevented that getaway. And I tell you what, John Latham's grabbed himself a couple of spots off that start as well. So he's going to try and hang along in there and have a look at Chad and Lewis. I was actually talking to Chad prior to the stream, and I said, man, if you can ever find yourself a green race, a clean race, you'll be going forwards.
Yeah, well, that is definitely not going to help going forward at the moment. But we'll get to the end of lap 2. So the pit window is going to open. We haven't had a safety car, so this is going to be eligible for everyone to take their pit stop. So see how much that's going to affect the straight line speed of that car. See that obviously long straights, it's going to be very aero dependent, so that's probably going to be hurting Chad a little bit. Go back up with Troy Stone Street at the moment, all over the back of Bruce Tannick. And Bruce Tannick again started P7 up into P4. Just another solid start again. But Troy had a really good start as well, actually popped up into P3 as you picked up on the start. So still hanging in there at the moment with some solid pace. You've got Matt Vanderkran just behind as well. Christian Smart not far behind. So there's a little bit of a queue stuck behind, before behind there. Even John Latham
Tell you what.
who's had a...
Just having a little bit of a look further back as well, was you're keeping an eye up here. Remember Michael Stewart out the grass at turn 1, lap 1? Well, he's already gained himself about another 5 spots and jumped a long way up the field. So he is on the improve. So that bodes well for his night at large, albeit unfortunately he's dumped 21 spots on that opening lap, or opening couple of laps. So anyway, ladies and gents, it's a little bit rough and has been for a couple of races now for Michael Stewart, and you'll see them come down into the oval section now. By the way, those seam markings you see on the road, they are differences in banking, Spence. So I hope you've learned something here tonight about oval racing. It's that where you see a seam around here, Homestead-Miami, slightly different bankings, more banking as you go up the corner.
Yep, I did know that. I have done a bit of oval racing. I'm not completely oblivious to it.
Unlike me in a TCR.
Well, I wasn't going to say it, but anyway, because but yeah, no, those seams as well. And I'm curious to see. I don't think it's probably going to play that much of a factor, but as you mentioned, those seams, when you're actually racing, especially like pack racing and stuff like that in NASCAR, you actually kind of use those seams as sort of like lanes. So you sort of try and sit within the seam every time you sort of go around. So you see guys going 2 or 3 wide, they sort of align themselves to those seams, and that's how they sort of get around the corner without crashing into one another. Whether or not we'd see this tonight, I doubt it. They're not really going to have enough of a run onto the car in front to really sort of take advantage of that. But it'd be interesting to see if we... it would be kind of cool if we do get to a certain point of this race and all of a sudden we see someone trying to use the highlight to go around the outside of someone to turn right. It would actually be really cool to see that at some point.
I'll give you a little bit of insight. What it does do is, as you go up the track, as you slide over the seams, the floor of the car comes off the surface of the road a little bit because the outside's lifted up now a little bit. So there's a small gap where there's slightly more air getting underneath the car. So it can actually take some downforce off the car. You don't want to transition over them whereby you need the downforce. So there's also that. But the banking transitions tend to, in a lot of cars, help turn the car as you initially transition over them. Oh, there's another incident actually up a little bit further ahead. I think it's Hedderscheid again, who's just had an incident. Indeed, he's dropped a ton of places on this lap.
Yeah, just did notice that as well on my iRacing screen. But yeah, just had a little moment. See if we can get a replay of it and see what happened there. But yeah, it was well off the track. I think just a front. Yeah, that's Michael Stewart again going out of the inside of someone at turn 7. I did not think that move was going to be possible tonight. But you got I don't know who that was on the outside, but it already started by the looks of that. And now cars getting into one another and all on his own. And just a little bit of a tap with the car behind. And watch the re-entry, Damien Cross with that car involved. I hope he got back onto the track without sort of affecting anyone else, because yeah, he started to nose that car back onto the track. That's very, very sketchy. I'm not sure if race control is going to want to have a look at that re-entry as well, because yeah, that's cutting it very close.
I'd be interested to see if we can get a replay of Turn 1, Turn 2, because there was a lot of conversation about where the track limits were being used, which is, you know, I mean, if there's a road out there, why not use it? But obviously there is a limit at some point. It's just whether or not we actually have anything to do with what defines the track boundaries and what you can and can't use in terms of the rule situation. So we'll see.
Not sure what this league, how race control would look at it. I know with most leagues, like you've got your lines. Oh, Damien Cross, you don't want to be out there. I think that's the second time Damien Cross has actually gone out there. Oh, sorry, no, that was a replay. So yes, there is a big replay down the bottom if I had a look. Oh, I'm getting ahead of myself. Anyways, no, but either way, you don't really want to do that at all. Unlike if you go to Daytona, you've got a bit of gravel, you've got bitumen on the outside, so if you go that wide, it doesn't really sort of affect you too much, but yeah, there's grass there, so that's going to cost you a bit of time there, but let's try to go back to the point. Yes, most of the time, so you'll probably have lines that dictate the track surface, so to speak, as you go into sort of turn 1. Generally, especially when it comes to rovers, as these are called, the rules generally is you can use those bits of track, but typically if you go off and come back onto the track and cause an accident, generally that's where you get slapped pretty hard. So again, it'd be interesting to see what they deemed if it was getting an advantage. Because most of the time, yeah, you can use that bit of track, but if you do come back up and hit something, then you're prepared to get a fairly stiff penalty for it.
And you normally get a lot of leeway on lap 1, turn 1 as well, because obviously everyone's trying to follow it. So it's probably going to be use your head and common sense more so than it will be anything specific lap 1, turn 1, because there's a myriad of players. Could you imagine at the Gold Coast, for example, with V8 Supercars there over the weekend, if they said, turn 1, lap 1, we're going to be handing out 5-second penalties for everyone who cuts the chicane? It just wouldn't work.
No, absolutely. And we saw that was very much a contentious issue if you watched the final race on Sunday about how much a certain driver was using that runoff. But yeah, again, it's just you're just using common sense. It's sometimes easier just to, especially opening lap, if you're trying to avoid hitting someone. Sometimes it's just the smarter option is just to hit that extra bit of tarmac that you can use, and then as long as you don't hit anyone, it's the smarter choice to do as opposed to trying to stick to the racing line. So
said driver didn't happen to pick up a fire extinguisher and spray people with it, did he?
He may have done that. Hot plants may also have been hurt in the proceedings as well. So, but
nothing is sacred whenever David Reynolds gets a podium. In actual fact, I think the next time he finishes on the podium or at least wins the race, he's probably going to get wrapped in bubble wrap before he goes up there to prevent him from getting anything.
I do have to laugh though. I have actually had the would you call it a privilege or what? I'm not sure, but I have actually met David Reynolds in real life once at a nightclub, and his antics do not surprise me at all. This is back in the days when we were racing Porsches, and I was just like, it does not surprise me at all. This dude, I don't think he's ever grown up, but a fantastic dude. He's a laugh. I love the dude. He's a crack up, but. At the moment, it looks like Talliancic down to third, but that gap between first and second is just starting to close up a little bit as well. So Darren Lob's starting to find a little bit more pace at the moment. Talliancic just not quite able to fire the car up at the moment, just sort of sitting, not losing too much time, but not really able to sort of make great inroads to the cars in front at the moment. So. But still top 3 at the moment, so I don't think he's going to be too upset. Still plenty of laps to go at the moment, but at the moment, Ken Lano's doing quite a good job at front.
We might be getting a little bit ahead of ourselves, but should we take a look at both of these, or chat to both of them? Chat to Ken Lano, not Ken. Well, you've really wound me up in a knot at the moment, Bez. If we chat to Darren Lobb at the tail end of the race, he will absolutely be in here and be gloating because the Springboks got up, and then South Africa also beat New Zealand in the cricket. So it was 2 big wins for South Africa in sporting fields, albeit one of them was quite controversial, and there was a lot of debate online, a lot of debate during the game about it as well. In the meantime, ladies and gentlemen, a cracking race is unfolding, and this for Troy Stone Street. He's dropped another spot here to Chris Smart, and for Troy, he was in Split 2 last season. He did manage to do well, but there were words about keeping it clean for Troy. I like this. If you've seen a driver come on over the last couple of weeks in terms of raw pace, yeah, sure, maybe there's some lessons in terms of the tyre saving, looking after the car, but the only way you get that, Mez, is getting out there, turning laps, and being consistent. Well, you've got to find the raw pace first. He's found that. Now he's got to build on that racecraft, and that'll come from just running in and around these guys.
Absolutely. The biggest thing, you hit the nail on the head. Even when I first got into karting, the first thing everyone always sort of said to you, said that the only way you're ever going to go quick is to spend time in the seat. And it's kind of the same thing with these things. The more time you spend in the sim, obviously, the better you get at it, the better you can get at it. And the sort of the secret, but the reason you always say do more laps is because you get more consistent. Everyone can sort of sit here and talk about, you can have these pedals and these steering wheels and all these different things that help you go quicker. They do help. They absolutely do help.
Yeah, but it's easier to go quicker with them. We're not saying it's impossible.
But yeah, it's easier to hold a pace so you can actually be more consistent. When you start finding a lot more consistency, that's when the pace starts to come on. So that's what we're sort of seeing with Stone Street at the moment. The consistency is starting to become there. So the pace will start following it as well. And as you said, you keep learn to keep those tyres a bit better, learn to make less mistakes, be more consistent with your braking. can obviously make a big inroads in pace, and that's not the most consistent line through there. Tim Nicol, and opportunistic dive up the inside. Craig Friend had to have a go, but yeah, that's unfortunately penalised himself more. Seems to run up and he's just gone for the look. I'm not sure if that gap was really worth having a look there. Obviously not. He's come out the other side, not as losing a few spots out of that, but yeah, I can understand seeing the momentum change. He'd have a bit of a look, but yeah, not worked out at all.
Having a look at the stats along the bottom of the screen, we're actually getting a whole bunch of IndyCar, NASCAR, Oval winners here from Homestead-Miami. It's always interesting to have a look at, who's won what, who's been successful here. That's probably one I'm most interested in, is actually the Grand Am winners from 2008, 2010, and 2011, because obviously a little bit more closer. In the meantime, Stone Street and Matt Vanderkraan are going toe-to-toe. And that's in the background, and it looks like Matt Vanderkraan's finally got that one done. So the tyre fall-off has started to kick in for Troy Stone Street compared to those relative around him. I'm starting to get the feeling that maybe Bruce Tannick is sliding just a little bit as well, because have a look at Christian Smart. Something's changed here for Smarty, because he has been struggling for not just outright pace, but outright consistency as well. He's not had the pace, and that's him down the inside to get the job done on Bruce Tannick. That is the run onto the back straight. He's down the inside there, and from here, side drafts, and you'll get the job done, albeit all the way around at the other end of the track.
Yeah, see the hit the oval. See the bottom line, starts edging out in front. You see Tannick's just hanging in there. Now the outside line, this is where it's going to help him. You start to see Tannick push out in front. There it is, Tannick. Nose in front, but they're going to be side by side as they head into turn one. So they've proven to be wrong. You can't go side by side, but he's squeezing hard at the moment for Christian. He's got it done. Oh, there we go. So Christian, we just caught the end of that. Whereas Christian's just run it a little bit wide. That's caught the nose of Bruce Tannick. So unfortunately, both a little bit wide. There's the flash of the headlights, and then where we picked up that one. So. Yeah, that was got to see what I wanted, just seeing a bit of a side-by-side through NASCAR ovals, and it's worked out kind of what we expected. But yeah, so as you said, good job in being able to go side-by-side into turn one.
Ooh, Chris Blanchard parked in the infield at the moment for WKP SimSpeed. He was sitting there a very long time, didn't see an awful lot of damage, but it was just being cognizant of the cars around him, and there's a hole in the traffic for him to rejoin. So multiple drivers starting to have issues up and down the field. One of the biggest actual facts about biggest benefits of running an oval is the high lap speed we generate around here. 260 kilometers here tonight in terms of overall laps, distance, 3.5 Ks, and that is a huge bit of contact for Darren Goosey, and he was on the radio just before recording that one in.
That one, so he's got down the inside there. Looks like he's in front. Oh, I don't think race control's going to look too happy at that one. Go for another look as well. We're going to be on board with Paul Burns here. So we're looking for using down the inside. Oh, I'd hate to be race control on that one. That's going to be hard to judge, especially that run. You can sort of see that. Paul didn't really have much room on the outside, but yeah, overlap is going to be the big key question. We can see Chris Blanchard, big move up the inside there, and it's cost himself big time. He gets up on the grass, we'll have to flick spin that one around.
And that's what we're before. Yep,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, so, yeah.
Can we check in with Michael Stewart? He's just ahead of Paul Burns, by the way. He's the car on the left-hand side of the shot behind the timing tower. And the reason for this is, remember where he was down at the end of the first lap? He was 35th or so. Look at where he is now. He's plus 13 spots from where he was at the end of the first lap. This is a phenomenal drive for Michael Stewart. He's doing it the hard way, but boy is he doing it well. And now he's starting to close in on the guys ahead of him as well. Matty Parker will be the next car. Jamie McKnight as well. I tell you what, he just took 2 seconds out of most of these guys that are ahead of him. He is flying!
Look at his lap times. So you see, that last lap it into the 15.2. Leaders at the moment, oh, this is good. So the leaders at the moment, Lambert did a 15.10, Lauren did a 15.2, Talianchi did a 15.0, Christian Smart actually did a 14.9, so Christian Smart was actually one of the faster ones that lap. But that's the thing, Stewart is not far off the pace of the leaders at the moment. The pack in front, 116, 117, 117. So, yeah, he has got a lot of pace on board this car at the moment. He is effectively matching top 10 pace at the moment.
What do you think? Do you think the red mist is descending, or Michael Stewart's just going to stuff it? There's nothing to lose. I'm going to drive the wheels off this thing at the end of the race.
At this point, you'd have to. You're already down the back, so to speak. You've got to drive your way through the field. I'm not sure what our chances are going to be at having a safety car here at the moment. As you said, we've gone quite a few races now without a safety car. He's going to have to do all of this the hard way. So, absolutely, it's just get your head down, get aggressive, and start just getting through these guys as quick as you possibly can. Because, losing any time is just going to hurt you later on in the race. At the moment, he's very wide of the apex there. Bit of apex hunting going on there, but doesn't lose too much time to the cars in front. But can't afford mistakes like that. Like that's a big one there. Just generally not fighting the apex at all, especially when he's trying to get past the cars in front. So
can tell you, Mez, race control just came back on that Darren Greasy incident and said, "Yep, ran him out of the room." Unfortunately, so. Yep, that's for Paul Burns. There will be no penalty incoming because there is no penalty to serve.
Yep, I can make sense of that. I'd have to have a closer look at it again. I'd have to put my RC hat on, but yeah, I can sort of understand where they went with that one. But yeah, I've been looking at whether or not there was enough overlap or whether overlap was not. But well, race control has made the decision, and we move on from that one.
Well, the race continues on. We're rapidly closing in on when that first pit stop is going to happen for a few drivers at the tail end of the field. It has indeed already happened. There are 3 of them thus far who have made their first pit stop. Chris Barrage, David Nash, and Robert Crisdale are the 3. Actually, has Crisdale come back down to the lane for a second time? I think he might have. No, he's only been in once. My apologies. Yeah, so 3 drivers so far have completed their stops. And for everyone else ahead of them, where is that going to feed them back out in the chain? But David Nash, he did start in 10th place, got wound up in the incidents in the early going. And for Todd Duggan, that is his car still parked up in the pit lane. And good to see the iRacing safety car made it into the circuit as well.
Yeah, just sitting there. I don't think it's going to have a busy night at all. It won't be doing much, but yeah, nice of them to turn up and have a bit of a watch and see what's going on. Maybe someone can teach him how to do road safety cars.
I just want to see the whole system functioning. When we get rain, the next thing has got to be the safety car and everything functioning better. I want to see endurance racing. The Fuji 8 Hours coming up next weekend, and trying to teach the oval guys again how to drive and turn right. So it's not as easy as you think. So anyway.
I can teach you if you want. I had a really good result last night.
Oh,
so, yeah. If you want, we won't ask Dan. We don't need to ask Dan.
No, we don't need to ask Dan.
No. Not worth mentioning at all.
What a great... actually had a really good battle with one of the other commentators that was SimSpeed and Reese Gardner. Reese kept poking his nose down the inside of me and annoyed me for many, many laps. This is Scott McCune and Brenton O'Brien going toe-to-toe. And McCune, teammate to Michael Stewart, gets the job done now in 1 and 2. Nice, clean move that. And it looked like Brenton sort of helped him on his way. Opened the door a little bit, went, yeah, he's got the car far enough down there. That's the move basically done.
Yeah, that was sort of what I was going to suspect was going to happen once you get to sort of the turning point. If you've got the car to the inside and you're alongside them, it's really hard to really expect them to try and run side by side through there. Although we have discovered it can be done. But yeah, Fishy into the lane at the moment. David Kirby, Robert Griffiths. And he's trying to find his pit box at the moment, and hopefully he's found it. Otherwise, this could be very awkward very quickly.
Well, Kirby started in 20th, so prior to this lap, he was running in, give me 2 seconds, 15th. So he was +5 at that point in time. So he's going to come down in, who will be a little bit further back. But for Robbie Griffiths, he qualified in 15th, so he was 5 grid stalls further forwards. Hence why he went a fair bit deeper into that one. And for these guys, they're pitting to get out of it. They were in a horrendous queue of traffic. So it was looking for a little bit of free air. But it's going to be all the fishy cars down in this lap because Chris Miller's come to the lane as well.
Just looking as well, we did have for the even splits lap 24, sort of pegging that turned up. We're at lap 19 and we're starting to see a few guys start to make their way down pit lane. So everyone seems to be going, this would be the undercut strategy. Everyone's expecting that probably the next 5 or so laps people are going to make their dash into pit lane. So this will be trying to get in, get some new tyres or get some clean air and try and bank some solid lap times and try and gain a bit of track position as this race progresses. So, but yeah, it seems that Fishy has figured it out and seems to be jumping on the same strategy.
Well, good news for them. The bay is not too far away, so the fish, I guess they're quite close to home. There's no lake in the middle of the track or anything like that. Whoa, hang on. That's a slow-moving car. Is that Scotty Van Loon? It is Scotty Van Loon in the Quantum's Pecky entry off track. And we were just hearing as well that cars that were just on board with those Fishy Motorsport cars, David Kirby's gone down a lap. The other two have not. Sorry, David Kirby's the only one of them still on the lead lap. The other two went down a lap, and that's where Van Loon ended up off the circuit. And that was at turn 1. So he's run wide at turn 1. Failed to pull it up before keeping it in line for turn 2. It's an interesting lap to ride on board, and it's a short lap, so we might actually take that opportunity to do so with someone. Let's pick someone. Someone perhaps in a battle. Dan? Find us somebody in a battle. Michael Stewart. You know what? We're going on board with Michael Stewart. I like Stewart. Like John Latham. That'll do.
Hey, just anyone. Pick a name out of a hat. Either way. But right on the rear bump, you can see John Latham at the moment. Just staying up close here, just trying to get the run off the corner. So the car sort of tries to, as it comes over the crest, sort of unsettles itself a little bit. Now you've got this run down into turn 6. Turn 7. Now they're going to be very, very gentle when they're trying to squeeze up the line here, especially with more tyres. You'll see the car moving around a little bit. You can see just in front, Matt Vanderkrant, the car sliding a little bit. And now this hard braking zone into turn 8. It's a very, very sharp curve. You want to try and get the car onto the apex and then driving off the corner. Yep, big slide from Matt Vanderkrant there, coming off the corner. Using as much of the track as possible, running that left side over that inside line. But now everyone hard up against the wall as they run into turn 10. You can see Matt Vanderkrant just goes straight up, goes down the bottom and then comes straight up. You can see those differing lines. Latham was a little bit wider as they came into the oval. Matt Vanderkrant was a bit lower. You can see how it changed as they came out the other side. You can see closing right up on the brakes at the moment, just can't quite get close enough there, running through the infield. This is a lot of fun. If you can link this up, it's a really, really fun bit of track and really rewarding if you can nail it and gain a lot of time there as well through that section.
Really good fun, by the way. I've driven it a couple of times in NASCAR trucks. It's a great track for the trucks. Not somewhere they actually come to in real life. It's one of those tracks that they just put on, you know, when is there something that's not necessarily on? And this corner down here is probably a primary braking opportunity and overtaking opportunity for John Latham. Gets to the inside, still on the right-hand side for Matt Vanderkrant, but no defense offered. Realized he was weak, and John Latham climbs up his 8th spot of the night, starting out of 14th, climbs into 6th. Could be more on the table here for him, as it's not done. And Matt Vanderkrant says, yep, I'm going to undercut him. And for Michael Stewart, this is a great decision from where he was running in terms of things. Have a look at Dean Flavell and Money Parker, both +10, +11 for both of those two guys. And if you have a look at the drivers, they're all down the back. Look at the negatives next to their name. Paul Burns, Joey McKnight, bunch of drivers gaining spots at the moment. For Michael Stewart, he's come out right behind John Latham. And Troy Stone Street had to check up major in behind Michael Stewart. But this will be a problem for Stewart because now he's not going to be able to show a clean pair of heels.
No, so Stone Street, I don't believe, hasn't hit it yet, so he's got some old tyres. Yeah, big slide there. That's going to overheat the rears pretty fierce and there's not much you can sort of do. You come in so hot, and he's just...
He was in hot.
There's
Nothing new with Stuart.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just the way that the track, where you come out of pit lane and where you merge, it's just a very, very awkward position. It's hard for Troy because, you know, you're committed well before you ever get to that sort of turn one kick. So even if, you know, you can't get it out of it early enough, and by the time you get into that corner, all of a sudden you can see him there, and it's like, I've got not much I can do here. I'm already hit hard. So yeah, just bad time, just wrong place at the wrong time, unfortunately for Stone Street.
It was really interesting as well watching both of these guys go at it for the race lead through 9 and 10 to bring us back to the start-finish line. And for John Latham, he's going to pit. Chris Smart just pit as well. Troy Stone Street, and Travis Hunt, so 4 cars in a row, all just came to the lane. Tim Nichols going to continue on. So we're starting to keep an eye on drivers pitting and coming back out. Remember we said you're going to split it down the middle, lap 24. Well, guess what lap we're on, gentlemen?
21.
Good counting. Good counting. How many laps of fuel? Well, we're on lap 24. I think it's only lap 21. Therefore, I'm going to underfill myself by 3 laps. Ladies and gentlemen, never count on Mez for fuel miles.
Never do. That's why I subscribe to JRT, because I can't calculate anything to save my
You've
life.
sponsored? That's like the 3rd time I think this season you've given them a shout out.
I tell you what, I should send him these posts and be like, hey, couple of years free sub, please, thank you. That's all I want, just free sub. I mean, it is worth... Anyway.
2 seasons of working on vets and he wants 2 years worth of free subs.
Yeah, exactly. Give me subs. Anyways.
You know what's a great segue, Mez? That's a great segue to talk about our sponsors once again. On behalf of Logitech G, Parramatta Isuzu Ute, Nova Sim Sport, and Play One Sim Gear, those are the sponsors that make it possible here for us at V8 Veterans. It's always a pleasure to have the guys on board, and I hope that they get the value for their money that they're looking for, and for you guys as well. Play One Sim Gear, good value for money. If you're looking for a new truck, Parramatta Isuzu Ute, particularly if you are in the Sydney area, Logitech G, because we all need to get into the sim racing world. Logitech G create both great entry level and great high-end gear. Now with their new True Force system, get into the Logitech G range today, as well as Nova Sim Sport, because, well, I'm not sure if they have necessarily any sim racing products, but at the same time, if you're looking to get into sim racing, join the team at Nova Sim Sports, because they always need more drivers. It's more fun that way, racing in teams. And yes, Dan's just noted, by the way, for us that the NASCAR pit lane entry, you don't come off of turn 4, NASCAR turn 4. It is the semi-apron entry. You have to enter before turn 3. Otherwise, you do get a black flag for an unsafe pit lane entry.
I didn't even test that military laps. That's true. Because I would have thought 100% you're taking the short shoot off of turn 4. So interesting to note. But another interesting to note as well, Darren Lobb still going on with this as well as Montelli engine. So we saw this last week at Laguna Seca as well. We didn't think it was going to work. We were almost ready to close up shop and basically say that's it, it's game over. But no, it worked out very, very well for Darren Lobb, and it looks like he's going to employ that strategy again. And Talianchi is going with him as well, try and do the overcut, while John Latham's going to be out there with Ken Ladder's going to be out there with a fresh set of tyres. This is going to put them further into the race, potentially. When they get to their final pit stops, shorter pit stops, fresher tyres. Worked before, so we'll see. Will it work again this time for Darren Lobb?
Well, the other side of things is for Darren Lobb, he didn't have control of the race, so whilst you don't have control of the race, you may as well throw something out there. And the key factor as well is that Michael Talianchi should pit. If Talianchi should pit, I don't think you will be seeing Lobb still out there. But in the meantime, he's getting pulled along by somebody with tyres. And we say that, and then very quickly dives down the inside and tries to disappear out the road. I'm wondering whether or not he's going to empty that tank, because he feels quite comfortable, quite safe in the position that he's in. And there's a number of drivers doing that tonight. Michael Talianchi, Michael Quain, Dean Flavel, Chad Lewis has gone very long. No, Chad Lewis is literally just pit. So, yeah, that will solve things. Steve Kennedy's still out there and circulating. And I believe He's come to the lane, as has Scotty Van Loon. Brenton O'Brien's the other driver that's still continuing on.
Also, we're noting too, that last lap for Darren Lobb, 14.8, so there is still plenty of pace in this car at the moment. We were seeing in the earlier stages of the race that was sort of around the 15 dead, low 15s. So now we're starting to see Darren Lobb actually dip into the 14s again. So plenty of pace left in this car. But you just see what pace Ken Ladder can come out with. He's just popped a lap time in now, 14.2. So about half a second faster on brand new set of tyres. So this will be interesting to see how it goes. But yeah, he'll do another lap as well. So surprising me as well. But yeah, I think at this point, I think you'd be right on the money to say they're going to run tanks out on these things at the moment.
Oh, hello. Hello, I think we've got a tow. We do have a tow. And guess who?
Oh no! Oh, that is big damage. The front of that, the front and the rear of that car is gone. And there it is.
Guess
There's the
where
call.
he is?
Safety car.
Guess where he is? That is on the front straightaway. That is pit lane to the right-hand side. And this has been the site of many an accident in NASCAR. Late race restarts. NASCAR have this thing they call NASCAR overtime. It's known as a green-white checkered finish. You must try and finish on the grid. Have a look at the checkup. This is problematic for Darren Lobb. He can't overtake anyone in this queue, and they're all backing it up.
Oh, this is so. Oh, the car in front's got damage. That's
There's
why.
nothing they can do. Lobb's got to sit here.
Yep. You cannot pass anyone. Oh, that's so frustrating. I was about to. If you guys are going to keep going with this one, but yeah, Lobb's going to pit. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah, they would have pitted. Sorry. Yes, they've been the cars that have already pitted. So yeah, they're definitely going to be staying out. You can see Darren Lobb is trying his hardest to use the pit lane entry to his advantage. But yeah, this is going to hurt Darren Lobb big time. I've no idea where he's going to come out in his pack. I'm just trying to find where they.
Oh, he's down the water. He's going to come out third. There's no way. Oh, Talianchic's just been waved through. They've waved the whole field through at the moment. Is Lobb still on the lead? You know what? The safety car's bottled the field. Lobb's going to pop out with the lead.
I'm trying to piece this together at the moment. I'm very confused. So, Talian. Yeah, Lobb's leader on time. Matt Vanderkran's in second. Yeah.
No, so it's going to be Matt Vanderkranz at the moment. Is actually the leader on track.
Oh, sorry. Yes, yeah, but because it hasn't updated yet because it hasn't come past the lane. So where Darren Lobb pits out, so yep, Matt Vanderkranz.
Matt Vanderkranz's your leader.
Yep. But what's happened to Talianchich? Did Talianchich not go to pit lane?
No, he hit the previous time. So he got in and got out of that all of that hoodoo. As soon as there was conversations on the radio of a request to tow, yeah, he was straight in.
Right, so he must have got caught behind the safety car on his out lap. Okay, cool. That's starting to make sense in my head. But he still beat Lobb out of pit lane. So that just shows how much time was lost from Darren Lobb.
What has happened to Ladder? Where is Ken Ladder? Something has happened to Ken Ladder in all of this. You know what?
I'm just trying to quickly double check. Yes, 2 pit stops for Ken Ladder. So Ken Ladder's got both stops out of the way. If I go
but our critical lap number
35. Yeah, he's not going to get it.
We're nowhere near it.
No, nowhere near it. So, yeah, this is just. I don't think the safety car's done anything to sort of do all this. It's just cars going everywhere, and the fact that you've also got cars that are a lap down as well. That just creates a bit of a mix of what's actually happening.
Do you come back down? Because I'm going to throw some numbers at you here. We're going to be about 5 laps short in terms of fuel. That isn't an insurmountable number. If everyone else commits to going hard, you can clutch and mega save. If I'm in Ken Ladder's shoes, I'm going to the rear. Well, maybe not Ken Ladder, but there are some people here within this field that can potentially come back down, top the car up here. If they've already completed 1 pit stop, they make this their second one. They are 5 laps short on fuel. They've got to save 5 laps or splash to get home. That is worthwhile doing.
Yeah, I'm thinking what you're putting down. If you're sort of towards the back of the field, this would be
Why not?
This would be where you can play it, or not even not. But you can time it so when we're about to go back to green, bolt down pit lane, get that top up that you need, and then basically you fuel save to the end. Because if you try and pit, take it on the fuel now. It's a lot of fuel you're going to save. You'll save a little bit under safety car. You're definitely going to save some under safety car now. It's just whether or not you can save enough that'll make it worthwhile. Look, if you're willing to roll a dice, I think you're 100% right. Go pit now, get your fuel tank topped up, save as much as you can under safety car, but you've got to commit early. You can't sort of waver on it and think whether or not you can or can't get to the end on a fuel save. You've got to commit early. If you're going to do this pit stop, you've got to commit to a fuel save to the end.
When did the safety car come out? So Brenton O'Brien's come to the pit lane twice under this safety car, right? He is now the last car in this chain. So, by my mind, you can only complete 1 compulsory pit stop per safety car period. Can we get the race infographic back up? Because this is where we've got to start doing it. This is the only time I think we're going to look at this all season because we're so tight on the numbers here, ladies and gentlemen. Compulsory pit stops can be taken any time after the start of lap 2, including safety car on lap 2. But you can only complete 1 compulsory pit stop under a single safety car period. And I've just watched back Brenton O'Brien. So now this is where it's going to get interesting because Brenton O'Brien pit, but the safety car hadn't bottled the field yet that first time by, right? They got waved by. To me, the safety car has already been deployed, so that's the 1. So he's got a splash. He's got a splash to do though.
Yeah. Well, it effectively rules Darren Lobb out of this straight away because he pitted under safety car. Ken Ladder, who pitted earlier and has, as we've seen, taken a second stop.
Yes,
this lines up perfect for Ken Ladder. Ken Ladder has done his required pit stop. He does not need to stop again. If he puts on a big fuel save, could potentially get to the end of this race without needing to pit again.
Well, I mean, so there's now we play the numbers, right? And this is when my oval brain kicks into gear. And this is what I coach whenever I'm coaching people and I'm talking, okay, NASCAR strategy, because tyres play a big factor. Very, very similar culture, effectively, to supercars. Tyres play a big strategy, they play a bigger strategy in NASCAR, and they're definitely a bigger part of that. But fuel is definitely important. And the big thing I'm always talking to people is if you're at the tail end of the queue, you don't have track position, keep that thing topped up. You buy an advantage any way you possibly can. Fuel is one of those ways.
Yeah, exactly. If you're down the back of the field, that's what you'd be doing every time. You're not going to lose track position at all because you're already down the back. So every opportunity you can get, you bolt to the pit lane, pop the tank up, go again. Now we're going to see. Oh, that's what caused it. Massive. That is huge. I'm surprised Travis didn't go over the barrier. That was massive.
Well, if he does, we don't have a safety car, so. And that's David Nash in the middle of that. He's just.
Oh, Christian's hard as well.
Bruce Tannick? Was Bruce Tannick?
That was Tannick in that one. Christian Smart, you can see up ahead, the front of that car's getting ripped off. So now what's happened here? So has Travis come up? Travis is coming up. Oh. Now, if you race regularly in NASCAR, that's a no-no. You're down the bottom, you stay down the bottom. So
well, no. Okay. Back up a second, Bez. Let's not have you educating people on NASCAR. So the difference is in NASCAR, well, the way they treat it is any overlap is considered enough overlap. So that's the first rule, right? That's the critical part. But watch this from Christian Smart. We're riding on board with him. This is effectively ruling Chris Charles' race, by the way. He's over a lap down. So at this point in time, he's trying to see if he can grab a lap back, and I think he has actually been waved back through. But for him, it was unlucky. Yes, any overlap is considered enough overlap, and but you get spotted calls obviously to help with that. We get that with an iRacing. So we don't have to worry about overlap games, which is rules-wise, Bruce Tannick's going to get pinged every single day of the week. Well, safety car, I think, has made its way back to pit lane. So it wasn't lapped cars that were coming back to pit lane, it was the safety car. And it is indeed in pit lane. So for Matt van der Kraan, he has led laps here tonight under safety car period. When we go back to green flag racing, he will lead the field back to green flag racing. For Troy Stone Street, he's in second spot. Another huge opportunity for him. Darren Lobb, Michael Taliancic. There's a number of drivers, and we're going to have to check this out. We're going to have to keep our eyes and ears and wits about us. There's a number of drivers at the back end of this field who are going to theoretically be fueled to the end. Jamie McKnight, Jason Fewens, and further back from these guys have taken on enough fuel potentially to get to the end of this race. The three drivers have done so: Fewens, McKnight, Brenton O'Brien. And for Matt van der Kraan, he's pulled the trigger and he's going to lead them away as they funnel down into turn number 1. The first safety car that we have had in 6 rounds, and boy, has it thrown a cut amongst the pigeons.
Yeah, running into turn 1. Everyone's signal file at the moment. A few locked brakes as they run in there, but now this is where the game starts. So we are on lap 32. There's 2 laps to the window. You can see down here, Jamie McKnight trying to go down the inside. Looks like he's on Jason Fewens. Looks like he'll get the job done. Yep, there we go. But
why are they fighting? Just save fuel. For Michael Taliancic, just back up the top end of down. Darren Lobb's already gotten through on Troy Stone Street. Now it's Taliancic's opportunity. He's going to be the outside as they run down to turn number 8 in the hairpin. Willie managed to pull the thing up. Stone Street just lets him on through, and now he's going to be the cork in the bottle for the guys in behind on Michael Quain and Craig Friend. All of a sudden have found themselves at the front end of things. Quain gets the thing all kinds of sideways on the exit of turn 8. We enter the oval, and they're going to be side by side.
Trying to look when they lap or how many laps they've done to hit a lot of these guys up front. They're going to have to go for it because there's no way they're going to save enough fuel to get there. So this pack at front that we're watching at the moment, they're going to go hell for leather. They're going to hope that everyone's going to need to make enough pit stop. So it's jumbled up this top 10. This 10 top 10 now is just a bit all over the shop. Stone Street done well out of this as well, staying inside that top 4. Taliancic staying inside there as well. Darren Lobb will be chasing down Matt van der Kraan to try and get back first place, but I think the one we're going to be trying to have a closer look at is going to be Ken Latta, and see currently in 18th spot at the moment to see what he can do. At the moment, he's pretty live ball when it comes to fuel and whether or not he is going to save fuel to try and get to the end here. But you can see that pack in front, he's dropped off a fair bit already. I dare say it that the fuel saving has already started because he dropped massively off the cars in front.
Okay, so what we're just getting on the timing tower. Oh, Ladder's in deep. Mega deep. That's not a dive bomb. That's sending it from outer space. He's parked it on the moon, and boy, has Ken Ladder come away with that one.
That was just, obviously saw that there was lots and lots of checking up into the hairpin. And that was just, I don't think that was really a lob. That was just accident avoidance there to not go into the back of someone. So, but yeah, you can see the gaps opening up a little bit. I'm just wanting for him to go on board with the ladder and actually see what he's doing. He's actually really saving fuel on this car at the moment. Because
he's just going to have to keep an eye on it because there's nothing to do. He absolutely needs to go forwards, and there's a cluster of cars that are now ahead of him. And I'm wondering whether or not Michael Stewart, he would have absolutely come back down for another freebie in terms of pit stops. So I think from Stewart, he's made both of his compulsory pit stops. Let's keep an eye on our timing tower. Michael Stewart pit on lap 22, so he has not yet made his second stop. This is the same set of tyres that he bolted on lap 22, and now down the inside yet again. There was a hole there, and Ken Ladder is going to fill that hole, and now it's going to become the inside of the kick as they come on the run through turn number 7. And now it's the run down to 8. He covers the inside. Now he's trying to line up Michael Stewart, and he's a little bit too far back. So for Ken Ladder, I don't know how much saving he's doing, but that does not look like enough saving.
no, completely blown that one out the window. Just what's going on board. There's definitely no fuel saving going on there at the moment. So, and yeah, 911 nationally penalty at the moment, which I believe that was the one with the contact with Travis Hunt.
That was Chris Tennant.
That was Chris Tennant? Oh, yeah. No, fucking rugby fucking around. Yeah, so that was an earlier incident there, but yeah, Ken Ladder definitely soldiering on with this one at the moment.
David Nash has come straight down to serve that one. From that perspective, there's someone else in the lane, I think, at the moment as well, who's going back into the time tower. Indeed it is. So Bruce Tanek has ejected himself out of the train of cars, and the reason for that is he has a massive amount of damage to the rear end of that car. So he's already taken his fast repair as well, I would assume, from the previous collision that he was involved in with Travis Hunt that brought out that safety car. And didn't stop in the lane, so that's not going to count as a compulsory pit stop. It's right there in the name. Stop.
Did Bruce just give himself a drive through for the obviously
No.
Bruce was the one that got involved with Travis Hunt. Was that him? He hasn't been given a penalty, but
he
has
hasn't
he
been
given
given a
himself
penalty.
one? Has he just given himself one?
And the way that I would say this is never serve a penalty until you've been given the penalty. It makes the job worse for race control.
Yeah,
Not better.
absolutely. So yeah, I can't figure that one out. I had a quick look. I can't see incident points. I'm not sure if it was like maybe tripped over an incident limit or something. But that's the only thing I can think of, because there's no other reason you take a drive down pit lane unless you're serving a penalty. So not sure what's happening there.
Well, he's done compulsory drive-through, but there's no compulsory drive-through limit, so unfortunately that's the wrong column that the stewards will be checking. They'll be checking pit stops, not drive-throughs. In the meantime, ladies and gents, the racing has continued, and Darren Lobb has gone back to the head of the field. So, stuff this. There's no hanging around for Darren Lobb. He's gotten by Matt Vanderkraan, and now Vanderkraan's become the cork in the bottle for Michael Taliancic. This is going to create issues, though, because for Taliancic, he's got that car full. Darren Lobb got the car full. But for Matt Vanderkraan, Torres Stone Street, and Craig Friend, they've got track position now, but they have a huge debt to pay. Robert Chrisdell didn't pit under that safety car, by the way. He pit on lap 8. He's currently running in 6th spot. We'll take that. But he's on very worn rubber.
Very long pit stop compared to everyone else when it comes down to it. Everyone else could pretty much be a splash and dash. His pit stop will be a bit longer. Oh, Ken Ladder, big up the inside into turn 2. Gets the job done on Michael Stewart. Saw that all the way on the screen there, but yeah, Taliancic at the moment is not. He's on the back of Vanderkraan at the moment, not really charging past at the moment. And Vanderkraan's he's got a fair bit on those tyres, 14 laps on those tyres compared to 9 Taliancic. So that Vanderkraan's doing a pretty good job at the moment, just holding this position. But yeah, you're right. Taliancic is going to have to get his head down and get in front, otherwise Darren Lobb might start skipping down the road.
I don't think Darren Lobb will be too worried about that at the moment. I think he'll just be targeting his pit stop lap. And have a look at the difference. Look at how late they come down into 3 and 4, but I think that might be dirty air affected. They're all searching for that fresh air. And when there's one comes down the car ahead of them, eventually does come down to cut that one off. On the run down to turn number 1 for Darren Lobb, that's what it looks like through the windshield. And for everyone else, their windshields have clogged up with cars 5 kinds of everywhere. And Ken Ladder's progress through the field. Well, he's back to 15th. Was he running outside the 20s when this race restarted? So he's managed to at least grab a bunch of spots. Stewart's gone with him, actually. And John Latham's another car that has actually pit twice. So there's a number of cars in that group. They don't... Now, from a race director's point of view, they don't have a compulsory stop. But the problem that we've got over everyone is that fuel window will force a stop. Albeit, they've already served their requirement.
I don't think... I'm just looking through the timing at the moment. I can't see anyone at the moment that's got like an abnormal lap time. So I think it's fairly certain to say that no one is fuel saving at the moment. Everyone is just going flat out. So what we were sort of hoping for is someone to roll the dice and try and go for a big fuel save. Don't think that's going to happen at this moment. So...
Have you got the strategy information there for us again, Dan, please? Even though this racing's going on. Now, everyone at home is going, yeah, but I want to see cars side by side. Well, unfortunately, you're trapped with me as a commentator, and I love looking at strategy more so than anyone else. In the high-speed game of chess for John Latham gets the job done on Scott McCune. And now he's going to be looking at another resurgence from McCune on the run down to turn number 1 as they go side by side. And the chess games will have to hold for a few more moments and pinch nice and tight. Now Latham's going to run it! Wide pulls the car back up. McCune to the inside. McCune's going to check up. Recognises the hole won't necessarily open. They're not going to get through here single file as Paul Burns sniffs an opportunity. And Burns says, I'm going to pick the pockets. I'm the best thief that there is in and around here. But Darren Crosby has words to say about that. Van Loon is looking for an open bit of road on the left-hand side. The run down to turn number 5, turn number 6, in fact. And they all settle it down for another moment. Burns goes from trying to gain a spot to just about losing one. In the meantime, the back end of their shot is the Chubby Buns entry that's trying to grab themselves a few extra spots. It's Darren Goosey who's going to get a little bit aggressive. And how about this for everyone in and around him? It's going to be Barrage, I believe, on his outside as he gets the nose ahead. And now it's going to be 2 by 2 by 2. And Dave Kirby says, how about this, guys? I don't need myself a bonnet lid.
Don't know if that'll be helping performance. It'll definitely be helping with cooling at the moment, but you can see not really doing much for air. Stephen Kennedy popping out in front of this group. He managed to sort of slip in front of Paul Burns as well. And having a bit of look into turn 1, but not quite going to get there. That little battle pack just sort of went off massively. It's perfect example there of when you try and make a spot, sometimes it can actually cost you a spot as well. So. But this pack is just hungry at the moment. They all want spots. They all want to make their way forward. And they're just using every opportunity they can to have a bit of a look. And that's actually that whole little bit of a small there's helping Q just check out a little bit. There's David Kirby going for a look up the inside. Can't quite get there. You can see Simon Hendershot. That's missing a lot of aero on that car. Slides out of turn 7.
I think he's not just missing aero on the rear, he's now missing a little bit of rear rubber. Probably a few mils worth.
Can't help but wonder if, does Hendershot still have more aero than the Fords in the Gen 2 Fords at the moment?
Yes, he will, based on the downforce of loss. Now for Scotty Van Loon, tries a little bit of the NASCAR. The US of A, we're here to race, he says, and now you're going to get a cop. Oh, the old bump drafting drifts up. A better line through the corner from Chris Blanchard just ahead of him. Apologies to the viewers just moments ago. I said it was Darren Crosby. It's Stephen Kennedy in 19th spot. That's at the front end of this one. And this will all feed back in. Have a look at Jamie McKnight as well. Back from 27. Back into 27. Here come the pit stops.
This will be to get them home. They'll have more than enough fuel available to them. So this will be the top up. Jason Fewens, Travis Hunt back out on track. Three laps down at the moment. So, but still want to score points. Any opportunity to score points, you want to take it. So definitely keep going. We'll probably just get it to the 75% mark and that'll be it. But yeah, so Fewens should effectively be the leader of those that have effectively taken enough fuel to get themselves to the end of the race.
Hang on. Michael Talianchich, has he picked twice as well? No, he hasn't.
No, he hasn't.
So somebody just posted in YouTube chat that Talianchich is thinking about going to the end of the race. Somebody better get on the mic to Tally and say, hang on, mate, it doesn't matter whether or not you can make it on fuel. The regulations say you're going to need to stop, as Travis Hunt makes use of more than just the allotted road circuit, takes to the grass as well.
Just having a look now, so we've got Ladder, Latham, Mirage, Kirby, Hendershot. Fewens has stopped 4 times, McKnight has stopped 3, O'Brien has stopped 3, and Smart has stopped 3 times. So they're the ones that effectively can get to the end. So again, Ladder is the only one that is, so Ladder and Latham are sort of the 2 that we're looking at. John Latham is a few spots behind at the moment, running in 17th at the moment. Hendershot into the lane, or through the lane. Looks like that was a top run, which is, yeah, okay. Maybe, obviously, did 2 stops, but not enough. And oh, that looks like Jason Fewens just off the track into turn 2 and gonna try and make it. Oh! Contact there. I wonder if that was a bit of tyre on tyre. Rear just kicked up in the air. And Hendershot already on the radio. So race control to go and have a look at that one.
So just crunching the numbers, ladies and gents, you would need to burn about 2.52 litres a lap And for few wins, this is going to be what the replay looked like. No, that was a pitch break.
Yep.
Way down in there. So that's how he has found his way all the way out there. And well, he's on the limit of being up far enough.
Yep.
That will be for race control to have a look at. And for Simon Hedershine, I was just about to say, a well renowned in the Australian and New Zealand platforms oval racer, very, very strong driver in the NASCAR Cup Series cars, and has a wealth of experience behind it, albeit not at the section of road that turns right as well.
On the back bit, on board at the moment. And yeah, Talia's just dropped right off the back at the moment.
He's trying to eliminate this stop as much as possible. He's gonna stop in the box. He's gonna grab a litre of fuel and he's gonna get out of that box. It's effectively his strategy at the end of this thing. And I think I'm gonna go ahead and say, go out on the limb that race control have absolutely seen Michael Schumacher's attempt to serve a penalty on the last lap of a Formula One race and said, yep, we're aware of that one. I don't think your compulsory pit stop can be served on the final lap of the race. And given where Tally qualified, he'll be past the start finish line anyway.
Yeah, I don't know about this. But I mean, I've been proven wrong before, so I'm not going to pass judgment. Get proven wrong again. But yeah, just you got to be roughly on strategy with the cars in front of him, and he's lost about 5 seconds to the car in front, and that's about 1.8. So he's effectively lost about 7 seconds to the lead at the moment. I'm not sure how much fuel, because it was only a very short stop to get you to the end. Still owes a compulsory pit stop. I don't see how he's going to save enough fuel to justify. Yeah, it's not going to happen. Exactly. So
for him to get to the end of the race is like 47 laps, and the maximum tank is about 40. So he's got to save a ridiculous amount. At 40's with some saving, right? So our fuel numbers are off the mark. Our fuel numbers are definitely off the mark. We're burning a little bit more than what most of these guys are burning. But even so, by our numbers, right, we're saying you need to save about half a litre a lap, every lap, to get there. And that's based upon when the last guy's pit. And I'm talking that's lap 30 to 31 when they came in the last lap of safety car. Tally's got 2 extra laps and he was out there.
Yeah, exactly. And again, there's still a compulsory pit stop that has to be served. So I don't see how you can close that gap. Yeah, unless, like I said, unless you're right, he's trying to eradicate the stop completely, get to the point where it's literally get in, lift up the jacks, drop the jacks, pull them off and go. Effectively, just doing that, just putting like a litre or 2 in there just to get you to the end. But which judging from the numbers that Daniel's just put in, it's about 9 to 11 seconds of fuel. So could be if that strategy works out the way that we're trying to project that it's going to go, he'll be able to do that and come out a couple of seconds ahead. But again, he's going to try to effectively wipe an entire pit stop away to do that. So I don't know at the moment. We're just going to have to wait and see how this plays out. But I don't know if this is going to work.
Something else of note, Matt van der Kram, by the way, remember, it took about 16 seconds less in his pit stop because he was going for the split it down the middle strategy, right? He come in on lap 22, at the end of lap 22, run about 24 on the middle stint and then maybe 22 at the end or so. Something in that marker. He was end-to-end time. So have a look at the pit stop time for Taliash, it's 44.8 seconds. If we jump to Van der Kram, this is going to tell a completely different story. I reckon he's only stopped for about 30 seconds. So, yeah, and indeed it's less than that. So that's why he came out in front. That tells you the strategy picture, ladies and gents. But the problem is he's now going to repay that debt, and all the time he gained by taking that pit stop strategy, he's lost all of it because of a safety car. So the 17 or so seconds he's gained on Taliancic, all of that was eaten up. He's only got about 5 back. Well, it's not even 5, it's 3.
No, is the... Oh. Actually, no, yes, you're right. That gap's to the leader. So, yeah, so it is 3 seconds, yeah, sorry. So, yeah. Yeah, kind of works, but Yeah, the pits, the safety car is what's going to scrub you there as well. So it's kind of that situation where it's yeah, you take the pit stop, that puts you effectively in position with everyone else, but then you can try and use the track position. It could be a case that maybe the positions he's battling for are not necessarily the ones that you know, he's not battling, so to speak, for the lead. He's probably racing the guys around him at the moment. So this might still play out in his favour against the drivers that he was racing at the time. But yeah, compared to the leaders, no, he's going to be completely off strategy in that regard. So.
Ken Lytle, ladies and gentlemen, back inside the top 10. He's already up to P9. I'm just looking a little bit further back from that. Michael Stewart's up to 13th. Remember, 33rd we had him flagged at the end of lap number 1. So if you take out qualifying out of the mix, started effectively 33rd and off the tail end of the pack, he's plus 20. The record won't show that for him, unfortunately, compared to his qualifying position. And Matt Vanderkran's in for his final start. He's looking for a little bit of fresh rubber and perhaps some fresh air out on the track, and no pressure from the drivers behind. And we'll definitely see him take tyres. This is going to be a big hold now for Matt Vanderkran. He's going to lose a lot out of this one, but for Michael Stewart, this has been a phenomenal drive. And the other side of this, Mez, is we're heading to Jerez next week. Apparently I was murdered at the start of the season where I said, oh yeah, we're going back to Jerez. And I was told yes, so that would not suffice within the commentary booth. Jerez. We're going to Jerez next week. Does the strategy change? Because we can absolutely tell you with some confidence that everyone who went on that split it up into 3 ways. Well, this is the worst thing to happen in terms of safety cars. And Michael Stewart pinches the brake and runs wide. He'll drop 3 spots, 4 spots it's going to be, and he'll slot back in behind Stephen Kennedy.
Right to go. So we're adding Michael Stewart to the list of drivers that you can't talk about anymore. Because, as you said, he was doing a phenomenal job.
It's his teammate as well.
was aided, but obviously the safety car was a big help as well. But no, Michael Stewart was doing a phenomenal job. The way the race started to be able to find himself back to the point of being just outside the top 10. Yeah, phenomenal drive. Looking back at the moment to Michael Telligent, who's now sitting in second, and again still losing a little bit of time. That gap is now out to about 6 seconds. So again, losing more time. Trying to go on this, we're assuming, a fuel save run. It's going to allow Craig Friend. Craig Friend's having a look as well. That's the thing. Craig, this is a potential too. Michael Telligent is going to come under attack from cars behind. And Stone Street's not far behind either. If they're not going to be thinking, he's saving, I'm just going to sit behind him. No, they're actually going to take this opportunity to try and get themselves up in second and try and better their race. So this puts Telligent at risk of getting attacked from the cars behind.
If it's Telligent, why aren't you following these guys? If you're on the fuel save strategy, it's an oval, mate. The NASCAR Cup Series, well, the NASCAR Cup Series don't come here and bump draft. NASCAR trucks come here and bump draft. Let somebody else punch that hole.
Yep.
If he's fuel saving, I wouldn't be leading this unless he's absolutely confident that he wants control of his. The problem is if he can't eliminate the stop, there's no point dropping it behind these guys. So
yeah, that's I don't know. I'm trying to piece together in my head, but like, yeah, if that's the ideal plan, then yeah, you would just naturally just slip it behind the car behind and say, cool, well, you can. The pace is about even, so yeah, it makes sense to say, cool, I'll drop it behind, you can take second place, and I'll save all the fuel I need behind you. But yeah, that's not happening at the moment, and now you just got Craig Friend, who's right on the rear bumper. As they come out of turn 6, he's going to fall right up towards turn 8. Not really going to be close enough to have a look, but Craig Friend's getting close enough that he's going to start worrying Telligent. He's definitely going to start sticking the nose in and having a look to try and take that second spot away.
Well, the other side of this coin as well is Craig Friend and Troy Stonestreet are 2 of the drivers who did short pit on lap 24. So for these guys, they are actually not racing. And the other side of that coin is that if they've only added enough fuel, let's say another 24 laps, to get them to 48, well, there was, 4 laps under safety car, they're due in next lap. But that depends on how much fuel they took.
Yeah, lots and lots of question marks at the moment, because you just see the pit stops times are just all over the shop. So it's just, yeah, trying to piece together what people have done. The safety car just landed at that point where everyone had sort of committed to their strategies, and then safety car falls, and now everyone's trying to sort of piece together, do I take the track position, or do I put myself in a position where I don't have to take as much stock, make as much fuel later on? And you see now, people have opted for track position, stay up the front, get a bit of clean air, and manage a race from there. But again, now they're racing the people that have taken that second pit stop, and or may have longer fuel in that first stop. So now they're racing them. So the strategy is just getting all sort of mixed up. So yeah,
he's not saving. I just went on board with him, by the way, man. He's not saving. There is no way he's saving fuel at all. There's no real. Like...
So is this just a pace deficit? Is this just as fast as Kaliach's can go?
Have a look at that, Mez. I called something right yet again. I said they'd be in this lap. I've done it. Haven't got speed in a TCR, but I can call some strategy.
That's okay. Dan and I will...
okay, get out. I'm done. I'm done. Dan, take over the commentary. I'm done. Where's my agent? Get my agent on the phone.
Well, look, you've been beating me in the strategy calls tonight, so it's the only thing I've got to come back at you with is the fact that I was quicker than you in a TCR last night. So, look, we've all got our strengths, and math is definitely one of my weaknesses.
I'm just lucky that on Saturday I can get outside the house and whack a ball around the park. That'll do for me.
Same, actually. Yeah.
Get up. I'm done. I'm done. He's taking everything. He's taking everything.
Look. A lot of cars in pit lane at the moment, and look, the one thing I will say is I'll never ever trouble Scott's batting average. I'll tell you that for a fact. So the TCR is the only thing I have at the moment that I can brag about. But yeah, a lot of cars taking to the pit lane. So now we're starting to see the strategy light up. We're looking for Ken Ladder motor. Ken Ladder is up into P5 at the moment. Effectively the leader of those that have completed their possible stops, but Ken will have to take another stop. Question will be, how much fuel will Ken need to take? The big question is, we're still trying to discover at the moment how much fuel is Darren going to take, how much fuel is Kalianchik's going to take as well. So,
if anything, Mez, let's start eliminating drivers in terms of where they're going to pop out. Line 3, even though Matt van der Kraan restarted that race in the lead, line through him, off sequence in terms of strategy. Craig Friend, off sequence in terms of strategy. Troy Stone Street, off sequence in terms of strategy. Those three guys are going to rejoin P nowhere in terms of the overall strategy, and I think we're actually going to see an option of that, because at the moment I think actually Jamie McKnight's ahead of them, and the difference is McKnight can make it on fuel. Well, air quotes, can.
Yeah. Interesting though, I'm just looking at hit times at the moment. Robbie Griffiths and Michael Clay are about on par. Oh, they're about 10 seconds slower than the cars in front, but they're looking as though they've got about a 10-second deficit that they're going to hand back at some point, or more. But they're actually looking pretty good for a top 10. I'd say, just based on the numbers I've been looking at, how much we're probably going to predict them needing to stop. So yeah, Michael Clay to Robbie Griffiths. Robbie Griffiths looks as though he's bolting into the lane. There he is, into the lane. I'd be interested to see what Robbie comes out with, because this potentially could be setting up for a top 10 run for both these guys.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on that one. That was actually Robbie Griffith's second pit stop too, because remember, all the fishy cars came down together. So this is his second compulsory stop. Actually, you know what? He may not. No, he did. Sorry, it was lap 19. He came down with the fishy cars to get the compulsory. This is his second compulsory stop.
Yep.
But anyway, we'll keep half an eye on that one. Be interesting, because I reckon he's going to pop out right on top of van der Kraan. In fact, probably fractionally ahead. We're going to be in an interesting little spot with where that one develops, and van der Kraan's already gone through. So forget that. Ignore me.
So that's worked out not too bad for van der Kraan. Now he's just popped outside the top 10. So van der Kraan will probably pop back into the top 10. But yeah, where he pops out to the lead is the next one.
Think about, there's a couple cars here that we've got to sort of take stock of. Well, Jamie McKnight was one of them, but he's already come back down for another crack at the old pit stop. So he said, even though I pit on lap 30, at the end of lap 30, I could not make it to the end of the race. So that basically should then effectively say that everyone has to come back down the lane has not done so. Brenton O'Brien has not showed a turn of speed since the restart. And for me, he was the last car on the train. Remember what we were talking about? You didn't have track position? You may as well have a crack. Well, this is a crack for Brenton O'Brien. Oh, he is very out of that gas. Very, very out of that gas. I reckon he's going to have a crack at this.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, he is. He is. Yeah. Is this Brenton O'Brien going for a race win? Probably not. But this could be his best result of the season thus far. Chad Lewis, Matt Vanderkraan, and Ken Latter. Latter's starting to resurge late. In fact, Ken Latter's just come down through the lane. So for Ken Latter, this is where he's rejoined. And after all things considered, where he was a much better spot. He came back out in traffic because he wanted to get that second compulsory stop out of the way. Has not worked. He's behind Vanderkraan. He's behind Lewis. Lewis is behind his teammates, which is Brenton O'Brien. So you've got the two ERT drivers right here. And it's Team Boss that's in control of this pack. There goes his batting partner, if you will, and now it's going to be squeezing down. Ladder gets nearly into the back of him on the run down to the hairpin. Vanderkraan's still there on the inside. They nearly make contact, and now he's going to try and get around him. Brenton O'Brien's going to make him use all the road. They're just about leaning on each other. There's nothing between these guys. This is where the side drafts and the punch in the hole in the air is going to come into play. O'Brien's going to go to the bottom of the oval. He will get a little bit of space on the middle of the corner. Who's going to have the cojones when we get down here to turn number one? It's going to be balls of steel required, and Ladder holds it high, dry, and handsome around the outside. And the fuel-saving masterclass continues for Brenton O'Brien.
That was what I wanted to see. At the start of the night, I said I want to see it. I want to see if that actually works. And bingo, right on cue. Ken Ladder proves it, getting up high with the fresher tyres, getting up high and just that outside grip and that outside momentum, just gets the shot off turn 10, turn 11, and gets the run down into turn 1. And Matt Vanderkraan sideways out of turn 4 will get it going. Has he just done that by himself? At this, might get him.
We're going to have to see a replay because for Matt Vanderkraan, he was all of a sudden in the conversation. He's led laps tonight, albeit strategy affected laps, but they were important laps, and he's popped out in a great spot. Is he downshifted?
No, that's just too much throttle. Yeah, he's pulled third and the rear's just gotten loose. That's unfortunately all that was, just too much throttle. Not enough throttle control, as some of us would say. But yeah, that's a big bummer because Matt was doing a fantastic job. Like I said, Ken Ladder sitting in 6th place at the moment, so he would have been in that fight there for the top 10. So now he's dropped all the way down. So he's in P17, so he's dropped a lot of spots out of that one. That one's going to hurt a little bit.
None of the drivers. So Ken Ladder is the first of the drivers who can now make it home. And effectively, 11 spots dropped there for Matt Vanderkraan, potentially 11 spots. Chad Lewis went for the undercut, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. Pit on lap 43 and attempted to get the jump on everyone. But now this becomes, how far are they out in ahead? Michael Quain is going to come to the pit lane now. And he is going to blink. Taliancic is in. So, again, we said none of these guys can make it, but is this a splash? Or is this an extended stop? And I think for Taliancic, he's actually already rejoined. John Latham goes whizzing by on the run down into turn number 1. No, sorry, my apologies for Taliancic. He's just right at the tail end of pit lane. So Latham continues on. Lob continues on. Lob is in a world of traffic, by the way, but I don't think that's going to matter too much. Had control of the race and had control of the race comfortably. Where does Taliancic rejoin? He rejoins in front of Ken Ladder, which means he now becomes the effective first driver who can make it. He's in P3. Ladder's back to 4, so it hasn't impacted him too much. But on a night where he thought maybe there's some points I can nick back off the biggest championship rival, he's all come undone with a little bit of strategy hoodoo.
Latham's on the same strategy as Lob, so there will be a second stop. So this will work out well. So should pop out. Ken Ladder will effectively should be around P3. It should end up in P3 at the end. Depends how much fuel 19-second stop. So yeah, Latham's going to have to take a fair bit of fuel. So I think he'll back in up onto the podium. But this is really just setting up Darren Lobb at the moment for taking this one. Like the gap he had at the start, and that pit stop from Calientry was about 9 seconds, 10 seconds. I've got a feeling that's what we're going to be looking at for Darren Lobb. It's going to be about a 10-second stop just to put tyres on, covers on fuel comfortably. Yeah, I think this is really being set up big time for Darren Lobb. But interesting to see where Latham pops out in relation to it.
I wonder how deep can Brenton O'Brien take this, because he's inside the top 10. He's 7th at the moment. He's not going to gain it. Oh, he might gain 1 spot to John Latham. Might is the key word on that one. It's not guaranteed, but he is doing a phenomenal job on fuel, and he is still saving Mega. And at the moment, Chris Miller just took 1.5 seconds out of him, so he is absolutely stretching this as far as it possibly can. Miller's going to be on him this lap. Friend will be closely behind. Stone Street's going to go with them, and there are fewer cars coming at him like herd of angry hornets. My wife is the one that might be hangry. She normally does get quite hangry, and I will probably cop it for voicing that on stream tomorrow, but hey, it is what it is.
I tell you what, I'm putting it out there. If Brenton can get this home without needing to stop, they should implement a rule that there's bonus 2 points for the most ballsiest strategy of the night, because I guarantee you Brenton deserves 2 points for it if he can get this home. Because we all wrote this off and said there's no way you can do this. There has to be another stop.
We didn't write it off. We just said it was difficult.
Oh.
It was exceptionally difficult.
Once everyone else went back to basically going full speed, once we went back to once it came off safety car, it was like, okay, we'll write that out the window. I don't think anyone's doing it. But no, Brenton's gone against the curb and said, nah, bogey is. I'm giving this a crack. So.
And you know what, Mez? If we'd have gone an extra lap on a safety car, I guarantee there'd be 6 or 7 guys trying this.
Oh,
that's how close it is.
Yeah, that one lap would be the crossover point, which you'd sort of say, you know what, actually it is viable. That extra lap on the safety car, you might, like they're burning about 3 litres a lap, you might be able to get that burn down to maybe less than a litre on the safety car if you just clutch it as much as you possibly can and slow everything right up.
Yeah, but if you're pitting every lap on the safety car, that's the key. You would have had to have pit just about every lap. And Brenton O'Brien did that. He pit multiple times on that safety car. He's had an absolute crack. Because why wouldn't you? Again, remember what I said? Was dead last in that. Was close to dead last. Was inside one of the back few cars in the queue. He's had a crack.
Yep, absolutely. And good on him. We'd love to see that, just thinking outside the box and having a dig at something. And yeah, like I said, I really do hope that this pays out. I hope we can actually get this to the end, because that's just going to be a solid effort from Brenton.
And look at the line that he chose through the corner. Shortest way around the track, least throttle input. Least throttle input. That is so critical. I reckon he's getting close. He's absolutely getting close. Required stint length is 42 laps. The furthest that we think you can possibly get is 37 laps. You would have to save an absurd amount of fuel. And for Brenton O'Brien, he's been doing 1 minute 16 second laps since the race went back to green flag racing. He did his fastest lap of the night, was 15.5. I reckon he might regret that.
See? Oh, just listening to it just so gently, just trying not to...
Short shift, friend!
Yeah, get on the short shift, absolutely. So it could be another position. Yep, friend up the inside.
Even if this is an 11th or a 12th place finish, that's a phenomenal job. And we're still 10 laps from the end, so we're not locked in. None of this is locked in, ladies and gentlemen. And he's going to fade to the bottom, and I strongly think he should fade to the bottom. This is all going to help him, by the way, running into all this traffic. He's not going to be able to stay there, and again, gets down there nice and early. He'll ease out of the gas. All the guys around him are on fresh rubber. Everyone around me will be sitting around and saying, oh, it's like watching cricket. It's like watching paint dry. Yeah, but to me, it's exciting.
Exciting to see if these strategies work out. You've got to sit there and wait for it to play out, but yeah, it's just intense just watching these sort of things and thinking, oh, can he do it? And watching the little things, as you say, picking up the small things, you know, so staying out of people's ways and using a bit of traffic as an advantage to save a little bit more fuel. Hot line as you're taking through the bank bits, because that can help save a little bit of fuel as well. And then you've got Troy Stone Street at the moment, who's poking at the moment but can't quite get there. I don't think that's going to be changing what Brendan's doing at all. And now Yeptree is going to have a look and brakes into turn 8, and that'll be fairly bit wide. That's going to allow Brendan back through. That was a big dive there. Probably didn't need to go that deep under brake, so Brendan will hold that position for a little bit longer. And there's John Latham into pit.
Darren Lobb is also pit, so that was the last car that we were waiting on. Well, we say last car, we were just looking at the last car we're waiting on to do their final stop. And this time by, there will be 9 laps to the conclusion of this race. And where is John Latham going to feed back out? Well, I tell you what, if Brendan O'Brien makes it, he will be ahead of John Latham. And a massive amount ahead.
That's a massive amount of time. The car's slotted big time. That was Chris Barrage. Had a massive slide. Now he's going to go side by side with Jeremy McKnight into turn 4. Jamie's going to try and hold it around the outside. He's going to keep the nose just there. The rear, you can see the rear sliding around. Coming out of turn 5, you're going to have Jamie McKnight on the outside. They're going to try and run side by side. And still can't get the power down. Jamie's still in.
3 wide up ahead, 3 wide at the head because Dave Kirby went outside and to the inside went Tim Nicol. And Tim Nicol is going to look at Dave Kirby and say, hey, thanks for setting that up, mate. He was weak all the way down in there. Thank you kindly. I'll take that one. I'll take everything that's on offer. But it's not done because here comes Brendan O'Brien. He's got a fuel question mark hanging massively over him. He pulls the old NASCAR move, the slide job. Slides up, takes a little bit of the air away. Now he's got both spots back. On the run down to turn number 1, is to the inside. Lifts off, clutches, Kirby slots in behind. And again, Brendan O'Brien back inside the top 10. But for Tim Nicol, that has rescued 2 spots away for his race. That's huge.
Yeah. Oh man, that was a bit intense. Like I said, 3 wide. Actually, yes, let's have a quick look at that on replay. So yeah, Stone Street went down the inside. Now you can see Kirby going for a look as well. And Tim Nichols just had a really good run off the corner and said, you know what, nope, I'm going to go to the inside. There he is, pulls out. Oh, man. Tell you what, all 3 of them, take your hats off with that one. That had all the markings of just going horribly wrong for all 3 of them. They've actually done a really good job.
He's still in it for Brendan O'Brien. He's still rubbing panels. He's still trading paint. This time it's with Michael Quain. The problem is when you're on the older rubber, sometimes you're going to end up as the cork in the bottle. And for Brendan O'Brien, have a look at the cars disappearing up the road. They've just got by him on this lap. 1.3 seconds, David Kirby's gone. Everyone's got their head switched onto this. That's why they're being aggressive. You've got to be aggressive. You're going to rescue a race around this guy. You've got to stick everything out there. You've got to get aggressive. And it's got to be extremely difficult to get the job done. And deep goes Quain. Quain slides off the track. Brendan O'Brien back to P11.
At this point, it'll be a case of who's going to stay on the track long enough to stay in front of Brendan O'Brien. He's just doing his own thing, and everyone else is just little trip ups every now and then into turn 1, just trying to get around him. So at the moment, it's working out well.
He's using fuel where he has to, by the way, as well, because he was on the clutch halfway down that straight. Why? There was not a car attached to his rear bumper. He had room to do so.
He's playing it very smart. And then we've got Chad Lewis at the moment, Robbie Griffiths behind. This looks like it's going to be pretty easy for Robbie Griffiths heading out of turn 8 through turn 9. Now they get to turn 10. What's going to happen here? Is he going to try and go to the bottom, or is he going to stay in the rear? They come out of turn 11. He's not really going to be close enough. We got right up on the rear bumper, and they're probably just a little bit too close, sitting on the rear bumper, and just couldn't do anything with it. Yep, Chris Miller in P6 and Craig Friend as well in P7. So there's a few drivers that have managed to, this way the strategy is all worked out, to put themselves right into the top 10. David Kirby as well, popping into turn 10, but we saw that all go on there. Jason Hewitt up to P11, so that's another spot loss for Brendan O'Brien with Jason Hewitt popping up to P11. But look at the cork in the bottle here. There are cars backed up right behind.
Well, it's creating some great racing in behind him as well, because the next car, once again, is going to be Michael Quain. He got the job done last lap. Now he's back behind him yet again. There's the checkup. He's bottling them. But now it's going to be John Latham against the inside. Latham recognises there's an opportunity. And now Michael Quain is escorted to the second spot in the queue that's forming behind Brenton O'Brien. And I tell you what, it feels a little bit like trying to get the pension at Centrelink behind him at the moment, because there is a queue and it's a mile deep. And for Michael Quain, he's locked it up, but has he locked it in? Not quite yet. He says to Eddie Maguire around the outside, you cannot lock that one in just yet, Eddie.
Oh my goodness. Oh. Who'd ever think that so much entertainment would come from a driver that's fuel saving at the moment? And Quain in the rear quarter got so close, but he's going to have the inside run. And then you're going to look Dean Favell in the background. He's going to have a bit of a look into turn one as well. Chris Blanchard you can see in the background. And Dean just having a little bit of a look, but couldn't quite commit to the move there. That's another spot lost for Brenton. He's down to 14th at the moment. But then look, there's more cars. That's the thing. That's the 5 laps to go. But look at the train that's forming up behind Brenton. This is... We were looking at this thinking that it could be a good result here, waiting for Brenton O'Brien if he can get to home. But look at the queue that's forming up behind. There's going to be a lot of positions, and he's going to try and hold off in these last 5 laps.
Well, talk about the power of teammates. Remember when Chad Lewis had to get his way by on Brenton O'Brien, everyone else has gotten head up. So he's actually helped out Chad amazingly, and it's not he hasn't been difficult. He hasn't been blocking or anything, Brenton O'Brien. He's just been positioning the car awkwardly. Figure it out, boys. Find your way around. Well, Robbie Griffiths on Chad Lewis did just find his way around. It was at the turn 8 hairpin. He's got the job done. But for now, it's P4 for Robbie Griffiths. I don't think he's going to have enough time or even the tyre life left to go and run down Ken Ladder. So at the moment it's Lob from Taliancic from Ladder. And yet again, Darren Lobb has gone for the fastest lap strategy, dips into 13.6, and it was a big check-up on the mid-corner. And another spot at the start-finish line is Chris Blanchard goes by. It's 2 on the run into turn number 1 for Brenton O'Brien. So he's back to 60 now, and it's a night where he started. He was in the 30s when he started this strat. Why not? He's still plus 15 or so spots.
Yep, still up at the moment. 4 to go. See if he can hold on to this group in front of him at the moment. That's going to be the big problem. He's not going to have the tyre life available to him to try and hang on to the guys in front, but he's just going to try and just, like you said, just position that car just a little bit off centre.
It's exactly awkward.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just enough that you've got to make the guy behind just drive a little bit sort of awkwardly and try and find a way through. And that's the thing. It's amazing how just putting the car in a certain position, just offset a little bit. They're going to run side by side through there. but yeah, just having that car a little bit offset up can sometimes just enough to make it a little bit difficult for the car behind.
Well, let's have a look at whether or not this strategy's worked. The other drivers that were on this high fuel strategy only had to come back down for a splash. Jamie McKnight. Jamie's on their second back from him. So if Jamie McKnight goes on by, you would say, yes, you did save some fuel, you did do okay. But if McKnight gets on through, I'd say he's probably lost out overall.
Yeah, and Jamie McKnight closing up big time. And then behind that, you got Matt Vanderkrant as well.
He's on the recovery effort.
He was on a recovery drive. Michael Stewart, you can see back there as well, coming back through the field. And big check with Michael Stewart, dropped back to 22nd. So that was another fantastic recovery drive that we were seeing as well. But Brenton O'Brien just holding on to the spot on P18. I'd imagine that before the end of this race, it's going to drop a few more spots. And there we can see Chad Lewis at the moment, who's coming under attack by Chris Miller as well.
I think it's important to point out what Bob's doing this race. He's affectionately known as Bob. Brenton O'Brien, B-O-B. He's also known as Boss Man. He's the leader of the ERT drivers. And now for Chad Lewis, the tyres are starting to suffer. He's the teammate of Bob, deep in the field. And also known as drift car racing. As there's somebody all of a sudden attached a wing to that 410 Sprint. No, it's just a V8 supercar. Sideways on the run down to turn number 2. Drops 1 spot now to Chris Miller, who slides through and takes P5 away for Chris Miller. A phenomenal race. He's got the car coloured in the old funky hairdo colours. And now it's going to represent an opportunity for Craig Friend. And for Michael Quain, the top of the show, before the top of the show, he said, yep, never had talent. I think he's regretting those comments right now. Who's ahead now, Mr. Quain? Who's ahead now?
I got him back as well, but yeah, Chad's really fighting with the rear of the car. It's the second time we've seen that mistake. It's what brakies over the rears are just locking. And again, a bit wide of the apex, but not too bad. Just trying to get the run off the
final lap. By the way, Darren Lobb has just gone through to take the final lap. There is one more lap to go. So for Brenton O'Brien, on his run to the flag, he's saving Mega. There is a lot going on there, but he's only got about 6Ks to go. Did John Latham just run out? He's under fuel. So John Latham's going to come in, which means that Brenton O'Brien's still going to get another spot back. Jamie McKnight's only just gone by him, by the way. So that has nearly worked out for Brenton O'Brien. Maybe not able to match him in terms of pace. For the guys that are inside the top 5, it's on. They're all hammered down. For Matt Vanderkram, this is going to represent an opportunity. Is he going to try and get down there? The clutch on at the start-finish line. Is it going to cough? Is it going to splutter? Is chaos going to unfold? In the meantime, Darren Lobb has just gone through what is effectively the last braking zone he'll have to make. He's on to NASCAR 3 and 4. It's a long run to the line. The black mark's up by the wall. They call it running out there by the boards on the entry for Darren Lobb. He'll arc it down to the bottom and he'll chalk up another V8 Veterans Race win. This time by... But now we cast the eyes backwards. The only cars that are effectively batting is this queue that's in behind Brenton O'Brien, as Tally will come to the flag stand and grab it off of 4. Behind him is going to be Ken Latta. So your top 3 in the championship, top 3 on track. And then we cast our eyes backwards because for Brenton O'Brien, he's 18th. He's blocking on the run down to the turn 8 hairpin. Yeah, we know. They're all back there. That's not the battle I want to see. They're going to come out of the hairpin. Matt Vanderkran's not going to get there because now he's been held up. Steve Kennedy goes to his outside. They're going to duke it out to the line, but for Brenton O'Brien, it's this short run to home. It's just about flat out. There's a slight lift. Get out to the boards if you're Stephen Kennedy. He'll try and rotate it down and underneath. They both catch a little bit of the dirty air and it doesn't stick, but for Brenton O'Brien, he's done it. Is he coughing? Is he spluttering? He gets there. He made it to the line. It's 18 for Brenton O'Brien. Does make it to the line and sends this thing a lot further than it ever should have gone.
Hats off, Brenton. That was phenomenal. To say fuel basically got the car to go longer than I think it's ever projected to go. That was just phenomenal to save that much fuel. And then to have that train of cars coming through as well.
He's out. He's out. The engine's off, by the way.
Oh, someone give him a push back to pit lane, please. But that was just phenomenal. And even what's more incredible is the fact that he actually had enough fuel in the tank to actually fight back a little bit in that last lap as well, because it sort of hadn't been getting in people's way, hadn't been defending, and that last lap he had the opportunities. But yeah, obviously class of the night, Darren Lobb takes away the win.
You say class. I say the most exciting was further back in the pack. But anyway, 13 seconds it ends up being after a caution on lap 28, I think it was, lap 27, lap 28, and the run to the flag. And featured compulsory pit stops for everyone in that second half of the race, albeit for fuel for some, and for the bulk of people, it was their second piece CPS that was required. Michael Taliantich brings it home a distant second place. Ken Latta, so the top 3 on the podium. Robbie Griffiths in 4th place. He will say, hell yeah, that was a phenomenal drive for him. And Chris Miller, the stablemate out of Fishing Motorsports home, rounding out your top 5. Craig Friend, in the first of the Chubby Buns Old Mate and Sons entries, home in 6th place. And for Chad Lewis, another finish inside the top 10 at 7th spot for him. Troy Stone Street qualified very well, raced very well, P8 for him. Happy about that one. And for Dave Kirby, another top 10 finish. Can't take points away from him. Tim Nickel gets inside the top 10 as well. It was awesome watching him drive. There was a few moves there where Tim really got the elbows out. We'll throw it over the page to P number 11, and Jason Fewens sneaks home 11th place for the Banter Alliance entry. Michael Quain, well, I'm sorry, Michael, but the talent comment goes not your way here tonight. Dean Flavel and Chris Blanchard, 13th and 14th. Robert Crisdale, one of the earliest pitters in the race, in 15th. Chris Barouge, Jamie McKnight gets home just ahead of Brenton O'Brien, which says that pit strategy effectively worked out relatively easy for Brenton O'Brien. Matt Vanderkran and Stephen Kennedy round out your top 20, miss.
Yeah, we'll flick over the page. Scotty McCune coming home in 21, actually picking up a few spots as well. Michael Stewart managed to come back to P22. Paul Burns in P23. Damien Cross coming home in 24th spot. David Nash home in 25th spot. Simon Hedershite in the bootless Commodore and home in 26th. Greg Sharp home in 27th. Scotty Van Loon coming in 28th spot. Darren Goosey in 29, and John Latham 30th place at the end with having to take a very, very last second pit stop. We'll flick over, and it's going to be Matty Parker in 31st. Christian Smart, good start to the race, but yeah, caught up in that incident early on. Bruce Tannock, 3 laps down, will be a finisher. Travis Hunt as well, 3 laps down, and then we get to our DNFs of Todd Duggan and Darren Goosey, who did not take to the grid in this race.
Well, ladies and gents, that is how they all rounded out. But now we'll get the opportunity to talk to a few of them. I'm going to start at the bottom end of the podium and work our way up, because Darren Lobb is still finding the join the Discord button, as he does struggle to do being in Kiwi land. And it will be Ken Ladder we'll be talking to first. Kenny, you had a crack at ticking off both of the compulsory pit stops. I don't think that one worked out.
No, well, I didn't have a choice because the safety car come. I pitted just before the safety car, and then I knew full well that everyone else would pit on the safety car and fill up. It's a no-brainer, so I had to come back in a second time. Pretty upset about it, obviously, but sometimes I don't think I got any luck at all, or if I do, it's bad luck.
Mate, in terms of things tonight, we haven't seen it. We were just saying we haven't seen a safety car in 6 rounds. It was Bathurst that we've seen the only safety car thus far this season. That, all of a sudden, if you were seeing more safety cars throughout the season, it changes the strategy up completely, because you either come down at the safety car and get the free pit stop, but generally the entire field will do that, or nobody comes at the safety car because track position is a little bit more important. Because we've been so green, everyone's gone, we're going to short pit, we're going to get in, we're going to underfill the car, get deep into the race. That is when you get penalised, as that safety car strategy.
Obviously, when you come in, and then the whole field bunches up, and if you don't fill up the tank in this instance, because it was such a long race, you'll be left out to dry all day.
Mate, in terms of things, obviously damage limitation tonight, P3 is still points in the bag, and I's still on tally. He's going to sneak 1 spot worth of points out on you. Obviously, fastest lap's going to go the way of Darren Lobb and whatnot thus far. I still think there's a little bit of a title race on here between you two guys. It changed positions early on, but he's got a little bit of momentum behind him at the moment.
Yeah, I'm doing everything I can. I mean, obviously, I think you get a point for leading the race, and I didn't lead the race that I'm aware of. And I didn't have any incident points, so and I got pole, so I'm doing everything I can, and obviously I'm hoping that a little bit of luck goes my way in the last couple of rounds.
Mate, next week we're heading off to Circuit de Jerez. Obviously, the Jerez has popped up on the calendar a couple of times now. It's just an awesome track to drive. It's a little bit of fun, feeling confident there.
I'm not too sure. I can't picture the track in my mind at the moment. I haven't even looked at it, so I'm going to have to look at it, because I think it might be on the Scops calendar this week.
It is, yep.
Yes, so I'm going to have a look at it. Unfortunately, I can't sort of enlighten you on what I think of it at the moment.
All right, so we'll TBA that one. We might have to chat to you prior to the stream next week, potentially. So it was a GP course we raced on last season. It's going to have a little bit of an extra chicane in it next week for you, mate. For now, in the meantime, better say your thank yous. Congratulations to you on finishing P3 in this race. Who are the sponsors that make it possible?
Yeah, well done to Lob and Teleancic and all the blokes at SSR. You guys and Race Control and Wave Runner Performance, Smith & Sons, DR Epoxy, DGD Customs, Australian Laminating Company, JK Signs, Nolan, Aftershock PC, West Ham Mazda, and Twizy Finance. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much for your time, Ken. Pleasure as always speaking to you, brother.
Okay, cheers. Bye.
And I've been reliably informed, Mez, there's actually one less chicane at the moto layout. You got those flowing right-handers instead of a chicane in the middle. So I've got that completely opposite the wrong way around, and I'm going to let you interview P2, mate.
Worries here with Michael Taliancic, P2 tonight. Solid points banked into the championship, and yeah, tonight was sort of the safety car threw a bit of a curveball for everyone out there. We were sort of talking about it pretty much all night, just the different strategies that were going on. So from your point of view, you managed to get your pit stop in just before the safety car came out. So did that really affect the outcome for you tonight?
Didn't really play into it too much. Mostly it just affected Ken, who was on a bit of a short fuel run, so he had to like go in again. But for me, I just stayed out there. All I wanted to do was have a good clean run tonight and bank some decent points, because I was not prepared for this race. I learned straight away in the opening laps that I didn't even really know the race lines around here, so I do not know how I qualified on P2.
We did sort of notice, but especially after the safety car started to drop back a little bit, we sort of started putting together that maybe that you were trying to do a bit of a fuel save to try and minimize the stop. So was that just sort of just not quite having the pace in the car at that point?
I was fuel saving a little bit in the opening stint behind Ken and Darren, but other than that, I wasn't fuel saving all race. I was just a little bit off my game tonight. I haven't really put in the laps, and I've never raced this track before. At least I don't remember racing it.
And what would be your thought there? You've done a race here. What are your thoughts of this track? Pretty good, or leave it off the calendar next year?
I don't know. I feel like it would be good if you're in a good battle. It got a bit boring being that long. I think I'd love to have a sprint race here. I think you could actually put on some big scenes here in the braking zones, but it's a bit hard to say. Just not quite there tonight, but I would race it again. I just want to do more practice.
But well, we've got Scops coming up at Jerez this week, so no doubt you hopefully get some laps in for that. But yeah, looking forward to going there for the next round.
Yeah, I think you'll see a different me next weekend with Scops on. I'll definitely be practicing over the next couple of days quite a bit. Probably put in a good 8 or so hours versus the 1 hour I put in tonight.
Very good. Oh well, good job again tonight, and who you got to thank for getting it done?
Yeah, I'd just like to thank Altus Esports and Altus Engineering, of course, as well as Race Tech New Zealand. And yeah, thank you to everyone who's tuning in, watching, supporting the series.
Awesome stuff. Well, good job tonight, and good luck for Scops and next week.
Thanks, guys. Yeah.
And finally, rounding out tonight's race winner. He was in here last week, talking up the Springboks. He thought they'd have a phenomenal chance. They did. He talked up South Africa in the cricket. They also got up. And tonight, he wasn't talking himself up necessarily a whole bunch. For Darren Lobb, he's turned laps around here in NASCAR configurations. Now he's won it in a V8 supercar.
Yeah, baby. Scotty, how you going, buddy?
Yeah, not too bad, brother.
It was a relatively uneventful night, much to my pleasure. I didn't really want that one to be too exciting tonight, so I was quite happy with the way that ended up going.
Mate, in terms of things, controversial finish in the rugby. Some saying that a red card should not have been awarded to New Zealand. You're sitting over here saying, no, we would have won it anyway, don't worry about it. But yeah, talk to us about your Saturday night out at the bar and joining the Springboks, brother.
Mate, I'm actually going to go back and I'm going to talk to you about going to bed on Thursday night after our last interview and getting a wake-up pat on the shoulder from my wife at about 5:30 to say, oh, damn, think the baby's arriving. And welcomed our little boy into the world at about 9:30 on Friday morning. So the weekend celebrations with the rugby didn't quite go according to plan because the little guy decided he rather wanted to watch it from outside rather than inside. So I actually watched the game all on my own at home, and then raced back off to the birthing centre to go say hi to the missus and the new little guy. So yeah, hell of a chuff with the rugby. But even more tough to have a little dude on the way.
You've done that the wrong way around. You should have made that his first ever rugby game, sitting there watching them win the World Cup.
He actually did, I gotta be honest. My missus is a big rugby fan as well, so they sat in the birthing centre, streamed the game up on the TV, and the little man, I don't think his eyes opened at that stage, but he certainly heard the noise in the background, let's put it that way.
Mate, in terms of things, starting to string a few results here together. So 2 wins, 2 weeks in a row. Feeling a little bit confident. Next week, we're off to Jerez, long flowing corners there. The V8 supercars tend to be a little bit more difficult to overtake the longer and flowing the corners are. It's those start-stop style braking zones get overtaken done. So quality more important next week?
Yeah, I think so. I've got to sort myself out in qualifying. I don't know, head's not in the right space. It's a bit late at night, I think. I've just battled to get that lap right in qualifying. So tonight again, I made a mistake on my first lap. You know, you end up resetting, going again on your second lap, but you know it's your last shot of it. So you always just leave a little bit on the table. It's worked out well enough last week and this week that I've managed to get positions at the start and then, you know, kind of sit in that lead pack. But I think with Jerez, it's going to be more important to get qualifying right. So hoping I'm going to be able to get on the sim a little bit more. I have in the last 2 weeks got on a lot more than I did in the beginning of the season. So maybe I should be practicing qualifying rather than seeing what the car does as the fuel burns off.
Mate, I'm about to say your missus is probably going to sit down and say, no, that's absolutely not happening. No, thank you. But in terms of things, it's tightening up at the top end of town. You're taking things to Tally and Ken Ladder. It's becoming a little bit of a three-way stoush. Are you enjoying the championship racing?
Oh, I'm going to try not to be too controversial and just say no. I'm actually not. I don't really see myself as being in the championship much. I think I was on the wrong end of a race control decision from Silverstone where, I don't know, I believe race control applied a decision that they made up that didn't really sit in the rule books, and because of that I've forfeited 50 points on a protest. But you know, that's the rules of racing. It is what it is. Sometimes you don't like race control decisions, sometimes you love them, and this time I'm on the wrong end of it, but unfortunately it's hammered me 50 points in the championship. So that's really hurt. Maybe another win or two of the next 2 races, and a little bit of trouble for Teliancic and Ken. Although you never wish that on anyone. You want to win, it's fair and square. But yeah, I'm kind of just trying to have a bit of fun at the moment.
Mate, awesome to hear. And for you, who are the sponsors to make it possible for DPR?
Men and Racing Products, my local sponsor here in New Zealand, and then just all of our team sponsors, and you know, again, just our team there that kind of makes getting on the sim every night lots of fun. And then as usual, thanks to you guys, I actually went back and watched last week's stream, and man, you really are giving Simon a hard time, you boys, aren't you?
Mate, don't watch tonight then, don't do it.
It's okay. On Wednesday night I gave him enough of a hard time, so it's okay, don't worry about it.
Yeah, that's good. So we don't need to put a sorry train out for you then.
Hey, when was the last time you scored runs at cricket in double digits, Mez?
When was the last time you got on a podium in a TCR race?
Okay, here we go. Here we go.
It's kicking off. It's kicking off.
Ladies and gentlemen, Darren Lobb, who's now going to become our anger management counsellor. So thank you very much for your time, Darren. It's been a pleasure to talk to you once again, brother.
Good on you, boys. Thank you. See you next week. I hope.
See you. Yeah. We either one of us may not be here next week with the way this is going. So see you next week, Darren.
Sure.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is going to wrap things up here from Circuit to Homestead-Miami, albeit said with a European-style accent in the middle. It is home to what used to be the NASCAR final race of the series, and it created something in those final stages for us here tonight. Next week, we head ourselves off to Spain. Circuito de Jerez, Angel Nieto Moto. It is the layout that the MotoGP use when they come here. The long flowing right-handers in the final sector. Normally when we come here for circuit racing, it's got the chicane there. Not to be this time. It's going to be about positioning the car correctly. It's a wide circuit. There's tons of runoff. Safety car for the 3rd time this season, he says. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Well, if you want to find out, you'll have to be here at 8:35 p.m. next Thursday night. Ladies and gentlemen, from the SimSpeed commentary crew, from myself, from Mez, from Daniel Yeaman to you, thank you very much for joining us for another round. And it's same sim time, same sim place next Thursday night. We'll see you then.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.